Perfect. Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna make sure that I make my post in Discord first. If it shows up. There it is. We are learning. We are rapidly learning. Oh, no. I did it wrong. Never mind. Well, you know what? Nope, that's not what I want to do. That's my File Explorer. We don't like having File Explorer open like that. Oh, let's make the live post first. Everyone. We are live. Boom, there's the link. One of these days, we're going to have a starting soon bumper. One of these days. Not today, but it's coming. Pretty sure it's coming at least. God, I hope it's coming. Oh yeah, I should probably also do this. Oh, wait, no, first I need to do this. Oh my gosh, I am a mess today. I am an absolute mess today. Just an absolute mess. It's been one of those days for me. I hope nobody's having one of those days. Those days suck. There we go. Okay, let's get this open so I can moderate myself. I think that works. God, I hope that works. Perfect. A bit of a scuffed intro to it, but other than that, I think it ended up going well. Hello again. Hello again. How are you doing? Day's going well. I hope your day's going well. Hope you're not having one of those days like I am. Today's a great day for me though, because it's in, I guess in the US it's called Fat Tuesday, but it's the day before Lent or something like that. I don't know. I'm not Catholic. I don't know anything about Catholic things. I just like having the donuts. Looks like we have some very interesting videos today. We absolutely and certainly do. That's good to hear. I'm glad that you're doing well today. I'm doing great too. I actually got a not to brag or anything like that, but I got a comment on one of my new videos that was in French and I was like, I can read that. Not very well, but I can read it. Pancake Day? Hell yeah. Oh, you know what? Here, let me see if I can So today is the day that we eat these. There he is. We eat these bad boys. These things are amazing. They're so bad for you, but they're great. They're like filled with jelly and stuff like that. You can get some with was it custard, I think it is. Oh, and they're great. They're called I've heard them pronounced punchki, I've heard them pronounced patchki. I don't know how they're pronounced because I don't read that language, but I don't need to read the language to know that they taste freaking good. If you haven't had one of those, I'd suggest going to try to find one. I think they're Polish? Not quite sure. Very delicious, very delicious. But I got me some donuts right here. I didn't have time to go out and get me any punchkis. Punchkis, there we go. That's probably how it's pronounced. So I might be eating donuts occasionally. I mean, they're definitely making a nice smell in my room. So got it chocolate covered. We're just giving a little bit of time for anybody else who might want to slowly ride on in. Not seen them in the UK before, but I reckon I could find one quite easily. Hell yeah, brother. They're good. They really are good. If you want to give them a try, I definitely would suggest them. They usually come with powdered sugar, but I think around here At least for the most part, they come glazed, which, you know, sugar at that point. They're really bad for you, by the way. They are quite honestly very calorie rich. You will not be in a deficit, that's for sure. All right. We're going to wait until my clock says 37. Keep shooting the shit for a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and get started on these videos. If you have a suggestion on which one you'd like to have start first, I'd be more than happy to hear it. But right now, I'm thinking that I want to get to all of them today. And I'm thinking about doing them in the order that they are. The Legendary Drops video came out really recently, like literally 7 hours ago, but I think it's kind of important, so I kind of want to go, obviously I haven't seen it, but I think it's going to be important. So, because I mean, he usually covers stuff that's fairly important. And with a title like I'm Sick of Being Blamed for Failed Games, definitely seems like something that I really do want to go over. So that'll come out later in the week, most likely, but I'm going to react to it today live. I don't think that he will mind that much. Yeah, I'm going to get through them all. I guess it's just which flavor of video you're ready for first. You want something on gaming, or you want something that's a little bit more, I guess, doomer. Talking about LA, the mythical land. I think that one's going to be a lot more tragic. I'm probably going to feel really bad. Especially because it deals with like homelessness. So I've been on mission before, especially in places like Mexico, and I've seen legitimately real poverty, and it always breaks my heart when I see something like this. I don't like seeing people in such desperate situations, so I'm probably going to have some very poignant things to say, or at least I think I'd have some poignant things to say. All right. It is 37. I'm going to get right into it. Let's just start with the first one.
There's something I've been...
Yeah. Thank you, Endymion. All right. I'm trying to introduce you. One of these days, I swear, my computer's going to behave. It's not behaving. There we go. All right. Endymion. We love Endymion. Endymion is great. He's a good creator. He's got some pretty good opinions, and I'm really glad to get my news from him. All right. With that said, let's go. Let's see what the truth that game developers have finally told is.
There's something I've been noticing lately,
this is
and
probably
it keeps
loud.
coming true every single time, and it never doesn't annoy me that it happens
Is this good?
and time again. There's very clearly
I hope this is good. Scream at me if it's not.
Being judged and championed depending on what they are and what they push. This will be a video that's a little bit weird, I will have to admit. I want to talk about Knight's Path. I want to talk about 1348X Votto, Lords of the Fallen even, Lords of the Fallen 2 as well, and even Mugenics, a game about breeding cats somehow that found its way into this culture war-like scenario that frames all of this that I'm about to talk about really nicely.
I mean, again, I think indie games are really kind of showing the bare ass of the AAA industry. A little louder? Okay, I gotcha. No worries. Let's go. Let's try right there. But they're definitely showing the bare ass of the AAA industry, and eventually people are going to get to the point where they're just going to say the quiet part out loud, because the quiet part is no longer going to become the quiet part.
See what I mean. But before we begin, let's thank the sponsor of this video, Factor.
Factor.
While I love eating food, I do not like making it because I'm lazy. Thankfully, Factor hits both
just like me
for me by offering simple, easy to prepare meals that are full of nutrition, which is great for someone like me, honestly.
The
meals range from full chicken breast and potato meals, or even this diced beef with curry and vegetables that I'm eating right here. which is steaming hot, but also really tasty. But Factor is better for you too, and cheaper in the long run than spending loads of money on delivery apps instead too. Factor delivers
Yeah,
fresh,
I
never
can believe
frozen,
that, honestly.
chef-crafted, and dietitian-approved meals straight to your doorstep, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. It's designed to
It doesn't
support
look
your
that
wellness
bad.
journey, and this diced beef curry that
Looks
I'm
better
eating,
than
it's
some of the
loaded with
microwave
protein
food you can get in
too.
the
Over 30
supermarket.
grams of protein right here alone. Factor also helps eliminate stress around cooking, planning, or cleanup, so you can stay focused on your goals instead of worrying about what to eat next.
I'm really liking the
Preparing
stock
is so
footage.
simple, even I can do it. You can
Yeah,
either poke
nothing
holes in
says
the
a good
top and
food
put it in a
commercial like
toaster
seeing
oven, or
people do
toss that
physical
sucker right into
exercise.
your actual oven too. Just forget about it for a few minutes and voila, your meal is ready. That's honestly all you have to do. It's seriously that easy. And if I can do this without screwing anything up myself, anyone with a brain can do it too. It's an added bonus as well. And it's also a
You know, I've
perfectly
got some
healthy and
family
tasty
recipes
meal
that
ready to go
I've
whenever you
gotten
need it. You can
from,
enjoy 100
you know,
plus
obviously
rotating
some
weekly
older
options from meals and
generations of
salads
my
to
family. If you
breakfasts,
ever want to see a
shakes, and
cooking
more,
stream,
all
let me know.
crafted for great
I can
taste
actually
and
cook,
nutrition
believe
in
it or
mind.
not.
Factor also now
I can
features
cook
double the
decently
seafood and
enough.
double the
I just
protein
choose
options
not to do
compared
it
to
because I'm
last year's
lazy as hell.
offerings. Plus 20 new ready-to-eat salads and grain bowls inspired by Sakura. Also, if you're worried about certain ingredients, you can also relax because Factor meals are designed with ingredient avoidance by default.
But you're going to
So if
have
you
to
want
be
no
a
pork, fish,
little
shellfish,
open-minded. Some of
mushroom,
the
or spicy
ingredients are a little
ingredients, you can enjoy flavor-first dishes that fit
interesting.
your
They're not
preferences based on your
bad,
needs.
but they're
Whatever
just like,
you
oh, I
want,
would
they
never thought
have
to
it
put
for
that
you.
in there.
And if you enjoy working out and keeping yourself strong, Factor has most of their meals deliver 30 plus grams of complete protein, up to 53 grams.
And we're
even
good
to support
Americans here. We
muscle
cook
repair
everything in
recovery.
butter.
Like I said, that beef curry
We
I
don't
had,
use
that had
none of
over
that
30
margarine
grams alone. You
bullshit.
can also enjoy new protein
Cooking
options like
stream,
short
sign me
ribs,
up. All
salmon
right. Well,
burgers, and bison
if I can
sausage
figure
that are
out how
part
to
of the
do it, I
expanded
totally
high-protein lineup.
100%
Another
will.
great thing is nothing that
That'll be
Factor
in the
serves you
future,
will
though.
have any
Like
sort of garbage in it, so no refined seed
maybe
oils, refined
probably a month
sugars,
or
artificial
two,
colors,
if anything.
sweeteners. It's
That'd
all
be
wholly
probably the
organic
fastest I
and
can do it.
incredibly healthy. And again, super easy to prepare. So head to factor75.com or click the link below in
One
the
person
description
says,
and
I
use
want to
code
watch it. All right, say no more.
FB50
Signed
to
up.
get 50% off your first Factor box, plus free breakfast for a whole year. That's code FB50 at factor75.com
Hell
to get
yeah.
50% off plus free breakfast for one whole year. It's really that easy. I mean, here's even one of my dogs who refuses to leave my side after she smelled that beef. And like, look at her. She wants a piece. I'm
Sorry,
bless
I had
her.
a
She's so cute. But you can also
message
scan
there.
the QR code on screen to get yourself
This is
an
a long
idea and
ad.
get
Oh my
yourself
God.
all set up real nice and easy too. Again, head to factor75.com or click the link below in the description and use code FB50 to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for a single year. That's code FB50 at factor75.com to get 50%
That was a 2-minute
off plus
ad.
free breakfast
They
for
must
a
have been
whole year.
paying
If you want super
a lot
easy,
for that
healthy
spot.
alternative meals that aren't full of nasty byproducts,
Don't rush it
and
too
can be
hard.
made
No,
ready in
we're
mere
all
minutes,
rush.
then you
No
just found your
breaks.
answer. It's so simple. Like I said, even I can do it. And
No
honestly,
brakes on
that's
this
the best
train.
praise that I can give
If I have
Factor.
brakes on
It
this
tastes
train, it
great,
means I
it's
won't
really
do it.
easy to store, and the convenience is exactly what I need due to the busy life I tend to lead. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to the video. Yeah, let's talk about knights and cats in this video. I know I make some questionable content from time to time. It is what it is. But anyways, Knight's Path is a game you likely know about that has been getting slammed really hard by the usual types because it's a game that famously said it would not include any modern agenda.
Again, the more backlash that games like this receive, just the more signal boost it's going to get to their actual audience. It's almost paradoxical in the sense that they're trying so hard to get rid of this game that it's only going to make it sell more because people are going to buy it out of spite. Like that's kind of like what happened with Stellar Blade, right? Like, I know, controversial opinion, Stellar Blade was kind of like a mid-tier game. I know, you can hate me, but everybody went out and bought it and it was a huge success because everybody who was critical of it was signal boosting it to everybody. They're like, okay, yeah, this is such a bad game, XYZ, I hate this, I hate that. And then everybody who hated them in return said, well, I'm going to support that because you don't like it. I think we're looking at one of those situations right now.
This was because the developers stood defiant that they were not interested in pushing for LGBT content in their game and instead wanted to hone in and focus on the game being a very specific game for a very specific kind of audience, that being just fans of medieval games that also enjoy low fantasy. Way too many publications have found a problem with this instead, despite on the other end you have 1348X Vado. That's a game about a lesbian knight looking for...
I'm gonna pull a nice play out of another content creator's playbook. What do you think that in 1348 Ex Voto, that all of the cultural issues that people are complaining about are going to be the least of the problems of the game? I'm willing to put a lot of money on the fact that there's probably going to be a lot more problems that are endemic to it that have nothing to do with any type of cultural arguments being made. Just saying. Seems to go in that direction.
For her lover in medieval Italy that has been getting nothing but praise from the exact same websites that conveniently hate Knight's Path. Like Tech Radar, for example, here, which said that 1348 Ex Voto is a game for them because it's about a female knight looking for her lover. Very obviously, this game is going to be upheld by the games industry because it represents everything that these types want these days. I wouldn't even be surprised if the two main character voice actors get nominated at the Game Awards, even if there are better performances objectively out there later down the line.
I could see that.
Simply because what these characters...
You know, I don't want to I don't want to go in too much on, you know, a good friend Geoff, because he's been having a rough one lately, especially with the, you know, monumentous release of a certain game that may be called Highguard. But the Game Awards definitely has, in a way, become a little bit more of an industry circle jerk, just like the other award shows for movies and such. Which is a shame, because I hate to see it, but maybe it is inexorable that all of these award-type shows start to become one of those circle jerk type of things. I wish it wasn't true. I wish it was more about the games. I wish it was more about, you know, hey, we have a good game here, play this game, you know, it's getting this award because it deserves it, rather than, you know, the critics or the critic type people awarding people for being there on their, I guess, socio-political agenda. But it is what it is.
Body is something that the industry
why nobody takes it seriously.
That's very, very obvious. I should probably say, before anyone tries to misquote me or something else, I don't think that Ex Voto looks bad at all. Actually, apparently, it's being sold at $30, and it's a single-player game that will only...
I will say one thing about Ex Voto not looking good, not looking bad. It does look okay, but it looked like in the trailer, some of the frame rate was a little bit suspicious, almost like the game was, or whatever they were doing, either uploaded it poorly, or more likely, it looks like it was having problems running it. Which, you know, I don't want it to be a thing, but it does look like it's an Unreal game, and, you know, Unreal Engine games are kind of notorious for that. Award shows almost always devolve into who pays for it, it seems like. I don't know if it's, like, paying for it in the sense, like, maybe in the traditional sense, but I definitely think that there's some, you know, behind the scenes hanky-panky going on. Mostly because, like, it's almost impossible for it not to be. And that's how award shows kind of work, at least it seems.
Take you roughly about 8 hours to finish or so from start to finish, which is pretty good actually. So it's very much more of a cinematic story game than, say, what people may be used to these days. There's no battle passes, nothing like that. The Xbox version was also canceled.
Can we not have any more cinematic story games, please? There was a second Druckmann that hit the games industry. I hate it.
Coming to PS5 and PC.
Just give me a game that I can play.
2026, which yeah, that's pretty soon, I know. And I bet when it releases, it'll be getting glowing reviews. Again, because the subject matter of what this game entails, it's like fish bait for game reviewers these days. And I would also likely surmise that any actual issues with the game will be glossed over simply due to what the game represents and what it pushes. It's nothing necessarily new in a sense, but it is what it is, unfortunately. I mean, Knight's Path, however, has been getting nothing short of negative press from a lot of the usual type of websites as well. The game's bigoted, it's awful, it's a terrible game, despite, you know, not even being out yet, simply because it doesn't...
It's almost getting to a point where if somebody in the games industry says this game is X, this game is Y, this game is bigoted, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm buying that game. Just because these people are using words that have no meaning anymore. It's like, you can call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, you're only, like, we all know as an open secret, you're calling it because it gives you a fear for the games industry being your safe space, which it's never been and it never should be. because it's an artistic endeavor, first of all. And second of all, like, you're trying to colonize gaming space and it's not working and you are riling against it. Stop it. Go away. Let me have my entertainment and my video games in peace, please.
Have LGBT romance options in it. The hypocrisy of what's going on here is never not going to make me roll my eyes, because I believe that neither game is problematic at all, and I'm being real. I think both games actually have the right to exist, but unfortunately, when 100%. It comes to everything these days, let's be real, it's always something political that ends up being the problem. Ex Voto would be given the same 100%. Negative press as Knight's Path if the developers there said that they weren't going to include LGBT themes or romance options, and it was instead a hetero love story instead, and we both know it. The only reason that game is even on anyone's radar is pretty simple, because it's something that reinforces what they already believe in. That's true of any side, of course, I know that. I feel as though that Knight's Path is very much in a similar pathway as Lords of the Fallen's developer CI Games actually too. Lords of the Fallen and its sequel Lords 2 have been getting also unfairly attacked by industry types as well for a long time, and I bring up the Lords game specifically.
I do remember that Lords of the Fallen did come under a lot of fire for some reason. I don't remember why it did, but I remember it was some stupid reason. I was just like, oh, okay, sure. I know they had their problems with their combat system. A lot of people didn't like that, but they fixed that. And there was still some other tertiary issue that, again, was just like, why are we talking about this? Who cares? Is the game good? Good. All right, cool. I'll play it.
Because they, just like Knight's Path, got treated the same way for a similar creative decision. I mean, The Gamer infamously had this article titled, Lords of the Fallen 2 needs more than sexy women to be a good video game. That's interesting, that it's not a good game, despite many people actually loving the game already.
Lords of the Fallen 2 needs more than sexy women to be a good video game. Okay. It's about dudes in armor. I don't see a sexy woman in their promotional art. I mean, you know, I could be wrong. But sexy women definitely help. Sit down and think about that one. Don't think you did.
I've been replaying Lords 2 actually on stream recently, and yeah, it's still great. The only reason why, though, that games like Lords or Knight's Path are being targeted by the Access media is because they are not willing to adhere to what the monolith wants and projects. If Lords had a trans option in their character creator, but kept everything else virtually the same, I guarantee you 100% that places like The Gamer would be sucking on the toes of CI Games. If they
I bet I would bet that 100% too.
Oh, it would be an amazing game. Isn't that funny how that works? The same would also be true for Knight's Path. The fact that the media attacked that,
you know, I as a proud body type too, you know, really am offended that Lords of the Fallen uses male and female.
game so viciously, all because the developers basically said LGBT romance in medieval times? No, you just play as a guy and we're just more focused on, you know, combat and swords and armor sets. Yeah, no, we're good. We're not adding that. And the industry was like, they must die. We have to destroy them. They're alt-right now. They're Yahtzees. Oh my God, it's Gamergate all over again. Except not really any of the above. I mean,
I need to start keeping track of words that are no longer have a meaning. Just have like a nice whiteboard behind me and just like get a marker every time and be like, oh, okay, so this word means nothing now.
They're just a team of two people who probably went, okay, we have a list of things we want to include that we're passionate about, that we want to put in this game. We don't have the resources to make this world as big as like a country or something, obviously.
That's a good point. They might not actually have the resources to change over it too.
Hopefully that'll be enough. And then these
that's like a scope creep issue.
And say, well, where's the gay romance? Where's my gay romance? Why can't I kiss men in this medieval game that I'm playing? Why isn't there some relationship option that affirms my identity? What do you mean you can only romance women? Like in
ew, gross,
women.
Why
doesn't this game affirm my identity and political belief systems that only existed 10 years ago in a game clearly set hundreds of years before I or any ideology that I championed even existed in the first place? How dare these game developers make a game authentic to some capacity based on the time period that it is clearly being set in? Like, make it make sense. That's how these people sound. There's nothing wrong wrong with what Knight's Path is doing.
You can't make it make sense because it inherently doesn't make sense. Honestly, it was an ideology, I believe, made to confuse you.
The same way that Lords of the Fallen went, yeah, we're just going to change it back to male.
Because once you're confused, you're easier to control.
The same thing. It is, after all, just a text prompt. So what's the big deal if they change it? Nope, the game sucks now. Everyone has to be nailed to the cross because you're not falling in line the way that we want to. This is why this sort of stuff is really dumb. Because
I'm actually excited for Lords of the Fallen too.
Games, like really everything.
Lords of the Fallen 1 was pretty fun. I still have to beat it.
To politics. None of these games journalists really
will
give
happen
a lick
soon
about the gameplay or the systems within them. Most of them don't even beat the games that they review.
It definitely is fun.
They just open the game up and go, okay, are my political stances obeyed or denied in this game or not? Oh, they're obeyed. Then this game is amazing. Let's shower with more.
Also, the funny thing that he's talking about right now, he's talking about the people who are like, obviously so invested in an ideology that they're like, I have to make sure that my, ideology is serviced in this game. He touched on it. He said they just open up the game to see it. And then they don't do anything. They don't play the game. They don't talk about the game. They don't do anything else with it. These people don't show up for games. We're literally pandering to an audience that doesn't exist right now. It's like, why? They're not going to play your game. Hell, they'll probably buy the game, open it up, see that it's got the stuff they like, go, oh yeah, good game, then hit the refund button. I wouldn't make a game for those types of people.
More praise. They didn't include that one flag that didn't even exist 5 years ago in my real time period. Well, time to smash my keyboard and call everyone alt-right, because that's how my brain works apparently. You guys need to realize how crazy you sound. Look, I'm not gonna lie. Even people who push back,
they will never realize how crazy they sound. They have no self-reflection.
Dive way too deep themselves. I admit that, and they do make jokes of themselves. As I understand that completely, but there has to be some sort of middle ground here, where when it comes to how games are made and enjoyed, that doesn't just result in your game is bad because you aren't catering 100% to me like always. Like, it's childish. You know what I mean? Xvoto at least will probably get beaten by game reviewers because it lasts as long.
I mean, it's okay to make games for somebody who's not like for an audience.
Honestly, even then, I kind of think some game journalists will probably still not beat the game. I mean,
and it's okay for a game not to be for you.
But the point is, either way,
these people just don't understand that.
It's almost as if it's like digital catnip that has been designed specifically to cater to the people in this industry and its review systems just to get favorable reviews. Even if the swordplay ends up having problems or some textures that don't look very good or something else, it doesn't matter because look, it's gay.
Let's real quickly. Is it just me or does it look like this is stuttering?
Industry and its review systems just to get favorable reviews. Even if the swordplay ends up having problems,
like it looks like it's being rendered in 30 FPS, right?
It doesn't matter because look, it's gay. That's really all.
Like there's something that looks off about that gameplay. Not that I'm trying to look to like pick it apart, but it's just like, it's an Unreal Engine game. Maybe the Unreal Engine's being the Unreal Engine, but it looks like it's at 30 frames per second.
Needs to be. And look, being gay doesn't make your game better or worse, but it's very obvious there's a narrative that's
no, it should be good or bad, independent of your sexual orientation.
Cats. Don't click off the video. I promise this will make sense. Just trust me. So there's a game called Mugenics that recently came out on Steam. It's from Edmund.
That one's been doing really good, by the way.
Super Meat Boy, Binding of Isaac, and a bunch of other things you probably recognize as well. Anyways, his game Mugenics,
huge indie games,
soaring on the Steam charts. Like, come look at this. As you can see here, over 80,000 people on Steam alone are all breeding different kinds of cats to use.
Now that's a graph.
RPG, I guess. Mugenics also has mutations, by the way, as like a core mechanic of the game, and cats can also end up with all sorts of different abilities based on their breeding history as well. There's also gay cats and bi cats and a group of cats called Ditto cats. Yeah, like the Pokemon, because Ditto cats can breed with anybody, just like Ditto and Pokemon, hence the name. You can also have cats that have negative effects due to inbreeding. This will also affect all sorts of things like their stats and more. It's sort of like
kind of like my Crusader King runs
game with its whole lineage idea, but it's instead throttled to 1,000, but with cats, if that makes sense. Anyways, making cats breed is not the point of why I included it in a video about knights and gay romance, but instead the fact that Edmund, the creator of this game, decided to allow a bunch of different people from all over the political spectrum to voice lines in his like little cat game that he made.
Oh, wow, really?
Like Ethan and Hila Klein are in this game making cat noises. Even Chris Chris Chan. Yes, that Chris Chan, who, yes, did that with his mom that you know that I will not see on YouTube, but you know why? Yeah,
I did not expect to hear Chris Chan in this video. I did not expect to hear that name in this video or even have to think about that entire situation. We should see a Crusader Kings run at some point. I might do that. My problem with it is when I play Crusader Kings, I play very stupidly. And I do a lot of resetting. Wait, what? Yeah, you just heard the Chris Chan, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I'm still reeling from that one too. We're gonna keep going.
He's in the game too, making meow noises as well. There's also people considered very, very liberal or even conservative that are also included. Like just people at random are in this game. Aaron Hansen as an Egoraptor, he's in this game making cat noises.
Imagine.
Anissa Joma and iDubbbz are in this game making cat noises alongside, like I said, Ethan and Hila Klein. Cliff Bleszinski, the guy who did God of War, he makes cat noises
Gears
too.
of War.
Chills, you know the guy who
Wait, hang on.
Raptor, he's in this game making cat noises. Anissa Joma and iDubbbz are in this game making cat noises.
We're gonna do a fact check in real time.
And Hila Klein. Cliff Bleszinski, the guy who did God of War.
Okay, we're gonna do a fact check in real time. Who made God of War? Not Cliff Bleszinski. Who made Gears of War? Fake gamer. He's a fake gamer. We're exposing legendary drops right now. He's a fake gamer. Cliff Bleszinski did Gears. Honestly, I bet you he probably just saw GOW and thought God of War, not Gears of War. We're starting beef, boys.
Too. Chills, you know the guy who number 5, number 4, the guy that sounds like that, you know the guy. Anyway, yeah, he's in the game too. Corpse Husband is also in the cameo list.
Jesus,
David
this
Harbour,
is such a.
I assume they mean as in the guy from Stranger Things is also in this game.
Meat Canyon
Emma
too.
Is in the game making cat noises. Felicia Day, Jay Bowman from Red Letter Media, Lily Pichu's in it too. Rich Evans also from Red Letter.
Oh my
Media,
god.
Also Mike that's from there as well. Rocco Bot from Mega 64. Zach Hadel, that's one of the co-creators of Smiling.
Smiling Friends.
The list
yep.
goes on and on. They're all in the game. The point is that a lot of the people that are
Hang on. Let me guess. The point is that there are so many people from different walks of life that it should serve as a good reminder that it doesn't fucking matter. Hear me out. It doesn't fucking matter what your political opinion is if it's a product for people to enjoy and detach from the problems of reality. Wouldn't that be an impressive point to make?
Cameoing as cats that are meowing in this game.
How did he find Corpse Hunter? And he basically fell off the face of the earth. I mean, you know, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of backdoor connections that creators have with one another. Like when a creator disappears from my, perspective, or at least maybe my interpretation, they disappear publicly, but they probably still keep in contact privately with the people that they've, done stuff with, or maybe he knew a friend of Corpse Husband. Like, that stuff happens all the time. I wouldn't imagine that he completely cut contact with everybody.
They're all over this game, right? They're all in it. And because of this, there are people who each have the fan bases that vary, let's be honest, very politically, depending on who you ask that are in this game. And people are not happy about that one bit.
Of course, people wouldn't be happy.
Like I said, with Lords,
they have to find some reason to hate something.
People really don't like supporting or playing something if someone involved in it has different political opinions.
Wow.
Edmund, for example, shared that Emmer was playing eugenics live on stream, as you can see here on screen.
Okay. I remember this happening. Emeru played it on stream and he said, "Oh, sweet, Emeru's playing my game on stream," and people screeched out. And I think he eventually told them, like, guys, fuck off. Like, what are you talking about? It's just a streamer playing a silly cat game. It doesn't have to be political.
And then a user says, "We won't be watching her, sorry Edmund." All because the people who liked that post and said that obviously hated Emiru for whatever reason it is.
Imagine how
because she won't denounce
terminally online you have to be like that.
It really doesn't matter. Here you can also see a bunch of terminally online people with varying flags and
still impressive. He's been out for 4 years after that possibly fake face stocks happened. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Corpse Husband, his content, or what happened. I don't know anything about the guy. I just know the name. I've heard it floating around before, but I don't know anything about it. So, unfortunately, I have nothing to say on it.
Bio and name arguing that Edmund allowing Emiru as a cameo is bad because Emiru is like the worst thing to ever exist apparently. And the same thing has been said about
Ethan. By the way, Emiru, notorious non-political streamer with non-political opinions that she puts out with non-offensive content with, non-edgy anything, very mundane milquetoast type of, funny haha, let's just enjoy things together and be nice to one another content creator is offensive.
Wow. Klein being in this game or iDubbbz, it really doesn't matter who you pick. Someone somewhere has a problem with someone else that's in this game, and that is the point. But as this interview from Rock Paper Shotgun states, Edmund McNillen on assembling Eugenics Meow cameo list, the inclusion of people with clashing ideologies felt appropriate. As Rock Paper Shotgun details here, people hate that Ethan and Hila are in this because of their views on Israel and Palestine.
Oh wow, let's go ahead and start bringing in Middle Eastern politics into our funny cat game. That sounds like a great idea. Like, let's write an entire fucking article about it. This is about a game allegedly, and we have to talk about some type of protracted political struggle halfway across the globe, which we've been struggling for the last 20 years. Most of the people have been not even born as this political debacle happened. Let's go ahead and just continue to bring that up in our video game that has nothing to do with it. I hope I've made my point clear that it doesn't matter. Shut the hell up. Talk about if the game is good or not. Who cares what these people behind the scenes do? Who cares?
Matan Evan is in this, which is apparently bad because he was on InfoWars at one point. But the game also has trans YouTubers that people either like or don't like as well for any number of reasons. As Edmund further detailed here, as he says, I made sure to contact both, as in Ethan, Hila, and iDubbbz and Anissa, he means, to make sure that they were okay with the others' involvement, so that it didn't feel like a weird gotcha on release. They were both very adult about it and said they had no issue with the other being added, and I really respect
Imagine people being grown up.
Been publicly feuding for a while now. It's hard to explain without revealing aspects of the game people haven't really experienced yet, but the inclusion of people with clashing ideologies felt appropriate. Edmund then continues, I understand we live in a time where a meow from someone who has different beliefs as you is scary and frustrating, confusing, and controversial, but it felt interesting, so I decided to explore it. Also, I should probably point out that I don't share the same opinion as, well, probably any of the people we included. If I only included people who shared the same exact opinions as me, I'd be the only one meowing in the game. I included Chris, but also Liquid Chris. Those who know.
Oh my God.
I didn't realize that Matan Evan was even
He not only had Solid Chris, he had Liquid Chris too. I'd say the rabbit hole goes deep, but I guess this is really more of a cat hole if you sit down and think about it.
Controversial. I mean, a lot of these people are characters just doing bits. So the point is that Edmund just included literally anybody and everybody that he could think of, regardless of their beliefs.
That's a good marketing strategy too.
It's a game that probably has someone in it that you don't like for whatever.
Oh, your God, what? Oh, your God about what?
Whatever reason, I guess, but Edmund did it anyways because he clearly wanted to prove a point, which is that ultimately none of this matters. It's all kind of silly.
This man is the avatar.
Like you because you don't pander to me directly and what I want, and seeing how certain groups reacted to hearing that this game that they apparently loved and playing when it first released were suddenly now asking for refunds because some person they didn't like was in the game doing cat noises. It is what it is. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This stuff is ridiculous. It's that all of this this is just pretty much nonsense. It's why what happened with
I can't believe
eugenics
people
is
would be this
exactly
dumb.
what you need to see.
That's a
since
lie.
it's
I know people
recent
can be
and
this
very
dumb.
viral, just kind of explosive
I guess
rise
those
with how
two
many players
statements
are
can
playing
exist
that
at
game,
once.
to
I know people will
understand
be this
why
dumb,
things
and I
like
can't
Knight's
believe people
Path,
would be
Lords
this
of the
dumb.
Fallen, stuff like Ex Voto, they're all being treated the way that they are because no one can agree on anything. Edmund made a good decision, in my opinion, by putting all these controversial people in his game, because now nobody could honestly claim that he's trying to appease any one side of any argument, and that's
Well,
kind of the
and
point.
you know, he's
Instead
going to get all
went,
these
you know what?
audiences as
Screw it. I'm
exposure
gonna
as
piss
well.
everybody off all at once, and I kind
The
of applaud him
good
for it. I
marketing
gotta be
strategy,
real. The fact
honestly.
that he knew that he was including people that he didn't even agree with politically, that takes a lot of balls to do. Edmund even
I'm
had a
just surprised he
solution to
didn't get
people who
the
hated
Cockroach
if
King
certain
himself.
voices were included in the game, where he would say this: "It's sad that some people might read this or other articles and be so off put by the idea of an inclusion of someone they don't like so much that they will never play the game. But I'm not sure someone would be that upset by a problematic meow would really enjoy the game that much anyway. Honestly, the thing that bothers me the most
Yeah, it
about
seems
all
pretty
of this, if a
sardonic,
cat
actually.
appears with the voice of someone you hate, you can literally throw it in the trash, or worse. People need to get more creative with their hate, and that's kind of what I mean. Mugenics might not get nominated for any awards. Who knows? Hell, the industry might just shun the game and pretend it doesn't exist because this person or
I
that
think that's
guy's
probably
in
likely
it.
what's
But
going
it
to
also
happen.
proves one thing for sure: it's all hypocrisy in the end, anyways. The fact that Ex Voto is seen as this shining glimmer of hope, yet Knight's Path is now the literal devil, all because of something as dumb as romance options. I mean, it tells you everything. The industry just doesn't want to fix itself. It instead just wants to affirm what they believe while pushing out everyone else instead. And the way that they treat certain games over others, it does nothing but prove
they really want to force you to like legitimize literally anything that they you know, I think that's more what I'm trying to say. It's not about forcing you to legitimize anything. It's more about wanting you to be in submission to them. And really, I think that's probably where we're at, where they're just trying to get you to submit to their whatever demands that they're making. And people don't, you know, surprisingly, people don't take kindly to being told that you must do something.
That this mentality is going to be here to stay because everyone is so blinded by all of this hate. I don't think that any game mentioned in this video is bad or should be attacked or hated, but the truth is simply that people are so used to being a part of these political
Right, but they could be bad. We just don't know yet because they haven't come out yet.
Echo chambers, if you will. It has completely warped their understandings of how to view people as just human beings anymore. Knight's Path is just as valid as Ex Voto, as is Lords of the Fallen or even Mugenics. And if looking at these games makes you hope that any one of these games will fail, it's likely because you are also stuck in the same loop that I'm talking about. But when these journalists say that Ex Voto is a game that is made for them, believe what they're telling you, because they're being...
Most people don't want any game to fail because any game that fails is just another problem for the games industry in general. Like, nobody truly wants to see a failing game. What they want to see is they want to see a game that was made specifically to try to club them in the head with political ideology fail, because they don't want that in their games. They want genuinely, you know, good games from an artistic perspective and from, you know, a place of passion. Political messages aren't from a place of passion. Political messages are from the pulpit, and nobody wants to feel like they're going to a sermon.
As mask off as they will probably be to you in that very moment. That is them being honest to you for once in their lives. They don't mean the gameplay. They don't mean the graphics or even the voice acting. What they mean by "it's for me" is the message. That's what they really care about. The reason for why it exists in the first place. And it's exactly why when Knight's Path does, you know, launch, you will see these same types of people try to tear it down. It doesn't matter if it's a game about knights fighting knights or lesbian knights or knights with magical lanterns that can go between worlds or games about breeding weird cats. It's all the same thing in the end. I do wish that the games industry and the media in general was more fair about these things, even though they never will be, let's be honest.
Yeah, I would say they're never going to be because there is a monetary interest in not being. Once you're able to stop them from having a monetary interest and being disingenuous, then you're going to see some change. I mean, I guess the change has already kind of started to happen because there are, you know, obviously alternative media sources, which are people like you where a lot of people come to get their video game opinions from or to hear news on the video game industry because they know that it's all just, smoke and mirrors. Really, the only people right now who are patronizing games journalists are third-party journalists, if we really sit down and think about it. Without them, we wouldn't have any content to watch.
But it's important to always stand up for the sorts of games that do get attacked by these types, because those are the games that actually challenge the ideals of today. Another game championing LGBT stuff is really nothing new. No matter the setting, it's what we always expected it to be. Lords of the Fallen was going to be attacked no matter what, and still to this day, all because the developers realized that they were done with catering to people who clearly were not in their corner anyways. They probably didn't buy the game, they were never going to buy the game, and now they're just mad that a game that they were never going to play in the first place is now catering to people who will actually play the game anyway. So you know what I mean? Like, that's really what's happening. Because if the people who made Lords of Fallen were, going to make changes to male or female or something like that, these types would be championing the game like crazy. The truth is that you're only really as useful as long as you push what these types want. It's why
I think that's probably a good point, is he said the word useful.
Award season, very likely.
I like that word. At least in the context of what he's saying, is like, these people don't view video games as, what they are. They view them as a tool, which hurts me to say.
Red carpet will be thrown in front of its actors. Even if that game is not the next great thing, it really won't matter. It just needs to align with what...
Hang on, what was that cross section right there?
Game is not the next great...
Is the sword on the tip of that axe? Hold up. We're gonna need to do it. We're gonna need to do an instant replay here.
Actors, even if that game is...
Okay, it's obviously underneath the axe right here. But I think it phases through to the front, right?
Not the next...
It is. It literally... This is a pre-rendered cutscene. And your sword literally phased through the bottom of the axe, making it look like you're pushing it through the very bottom of the blade of the axe. Which it would just slip in and just bisect you, just for their information. That's not how weapons work. That is... They did the Assassin's Creed Shadows thing. I don't remember the Assassin's Creed Shadows thing, but I remember something similar to it now that you're mentioning it. But still. You would think that they'd be able to get the blocking right on this. Not blocking as in, like, blocking a blade. Blocking as in, like, movement that actors on a stage take. Oh, boy. Same thing happened in the trailer. That was a AAA game, too, that's even worse.
Great thing, it really won't matter. It just needs to align with what the people who control things want, and then that'll be enough. I wager once Lords of the Fallen 2 even comes out that the usual types will find any excuse in the book that they can also do.
Once Lords of the Fallen 2 comes out, then people are going to find some reason to hate it.
I mean, had a trans option, these people would be saying that it's the best Souls game they ever played, probably solely because it caters to them and they know it. It is tiring to see at this point. These people never change how they view things, because to challenge their own views, it's akin to heresy pretty much. With Knight's Path, it is going to be used as a cautionary tale, like, mark my words, despite even being anywhere close to releasing yet because of what it, like, politically represents, if you will. A game that was made for gamers by gamers who love and want to celebrate that potential time period exactly. That's what I mean.
I hope it does well.
Have that, apparently. Maybe if Knight's, Path,
because it seems like it comes from a place of passion,
gay romance or something, the Game Awards will probably pay for the flights of the developers to like LA come award time. Probably. It's all hypocritical.
Just got to that, but that a trans option is complete madness. Yeah.
critical. It disgusts me, and it makes me realize that the games industry is uniquely being held back
Some
by
of
the
the
tired opinions of the people,
forcing people to put in those types of things when the game's already completed too is ridiculous because of how much
isn't a standard anymore.
You'd have to put into it, like on a game's
standard
aspect.
Is instead just going to get ridiculed no matter what, attacked.
If they don't want to put it in the game, then
people are just so afraid.
Who cares? It's not in the game. Is the game good? Okay, well then just play the game.
We keep playing and buying games that challenge these ideas. We show support for Knight's Path. We play Lords and Lords 2. You can play Xvado 2 if you want to. We have to show the industry that this is not only a hunger for these sorts of games, but real tangible audiences that are willing to show up day one and support them too. And again, thanks to Factor for sponsoring this video. Again, head to factor75.com or click the link below in the description and use code ENDYMIONFB50 to get 50% off your first Factor box plus
forcing somebody
for year. That's code ENDYMIONFB50
to put into a game
factor75.com to get 50%
something
off
that
plus
you
like for a whole year.
Are mandating needs to happen.
Thanks for watching, guys, as well.
Is ridiculous.
Eventually, you can't be ignored. Your opinions no longer seem, as they would say, evil, but instead make these people realize, wow, you're actually just normal. It's not to say that Xvado can't exist either, like I said, or that what it's doing isn't normal, but we need all of these games to exist and more, and to not put them in these selected groups. Instead, they need to just be viewed as what they were always intended to be viewed as, which is video games, and that has to be enough. The point is that we should be more open to things that we maybe disagree with if an industry like this is meant to heal to any capacity. But what do you think? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, Endymion. Like, so I mean that he makes no sense. A trans option is incredibly stupid, in my opinion. If I want to be a woman IRL, then I'm just going to choose to be a woman in the game. Exactly. Like, it's almost, how do I want to put it? It's almost insulting to the point saying that you need to have a third category in order to represent you if you happen to be trans, when, you know, as far as I'm aware, the whole point of being trans is wanting to be the other gender. So saying that you have a specific space carved out to you is immediately putting you in a position that you are abnormative. In wanting to do the right thing to people, they are proving the point that it is the wrong thing to do. By any standard of logic. It's just like, what are you doing? I mean, it's just like whatchamacallit, just like Veilguard, where they had the scars option. It's like, oh, who wanted that? Like, really, who wanted that? I can tell you all the people who are, you know, my friends in my life who actually happen to be trans don't want that. Because they find it to be just completely obnoxious, really, honestly. It's, oh my god. I'm actually kind of stun-locked right now by this sheer incompetence, brilliance displayed by the games industry side here. You're right, it's brilliance, my bad. These people, they're playing fifth dimensional chess, and I just don't understand it. I'm too stupid. I just wish that they would stop putting, or trying to force people to bend the knee in any protracted way. Like, let people just make games. If they're good, they're good. If they're bad, they're bad. I think that's probably the best standard. The problem is they, you know, they can't make any good games, so they have to bring down people who can make good games to make the, quote, decent games for themselves. And it's just sad. It really is. I don't know. It makes me upset every time I have to, like, hear about somebody in the games industry making some type of, like, forced, protracted requirement for some type of political ideology that has nothing to do with the game. Like, my favorite thing is Body Type 1 and 2. I made a joke about it earlier, but like, I'll actually talk about it right now. I hate seeing Body Type 1 and 2. Like, who is that made for? Literally nobody. Everybody knows that there is male and female. And male and female bodies have very distinct and different looks to it. And trying not to offend anybody by calling it Body Type 1 and Body Type 2 is stupid on its face. Because they're going to get offended by literally anything anyway. And if you can't risk being offended in general, then why are you buying a game? I don't know. It sets me off a wall. That type of stuff sets me off a wall. I want to hop off my soapbox now. We got shit to do. Oh, but it makes me upset. Speaking of bad games, looks like we're going to be talking about Relooted.
Hey, what's up, guys? Rev here.
I am not done introducing you, Mr. Rev. Body type 1 and 2 is fine as long as there's body type 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And no more customization beyond that. Right? Where it's just continually telling you these are the characters that you can play rather than making your own character. All right. Relooted. Rev says Desu. Apparently there was a crash out by the Relooted devs on social media, which, you know, color me surprised. Color no one's surprised that they crashed out because obviously Relooted probably didn't do as well as they thought. I saw a snippet from a creator who was Asian, and one of the characters in the game was Asian, and they were going full on completely like stereotypical dialogue. I heard it and I was like, oh my God, that's pretty bad. And the person who was, you know, obviously reacting to it going, oh, that's really bad. So in them trying to not be racist, they went fully around the horseshoe and became completely racist. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Let's see what this has.
Here. So I'm sure most people watching this video have had their calendars marked for this day.
I sure have.
February 10th, the release of Relooted. Now, we've talked about this game before, but in case you're not familiar, here is the description. Reclaim real African artifacts from Western museums in this African futurist heist game. Recruit crew members.
Wouldn't it be Afrofuturist? I feel like that would probably be the best way of describing it, or at least the most concise.
Plan escape routes, acquire the precious cargo, and bounce out of the joint as fast as you can. Now, this game was mocked for what I will assume is unintentional racism. People are making fun of the plot here, saying it was offensive, and it got...
You know, now that I think about it, the plot's actually kind of really wild if you sit down and think about it for 5 minutes.
Got a lot of bad attention, okay? The initial trailer from 8 months ago, 1,000 likes versus 8,200 dislikes, but despite that reception, games journalists were saying it was really great. You just gotta wait, okay? And then people on social media...
Oh, okay. It's our friends, the games journalists. They're coming in here to tell us what we need to think.
Saying this game was gonna own the chuds. And the only thing they could really celebrate about this game, at least in articles, was diversity. And then, in October of last year, they got into a little spat on the Steam discussion board here, where someone said, get over it. The reason Western museums...
I remember this. This went crazy. This went bananas.
Countries they were looted from had zero respect for their historical value, and then the official
So from what I can recall, to explicate the claim that the original poster here is making, that the historical artifacts that were preserved by the people who were coming in and, you know, finding them and preserving them, the innate cultures around the area in which they were found did in fact say they wanted nothing to do with them. Like, I believe that is a historical fact. So we're going to be arguing over a historical fact here to begin with.
Developer account who created this game, Nyamakop Devs, said, got any sources for that claim with a smiley face. Many of the artifacts in Relooted were taken from thriving existing civilizations who deeply treasured them. So unless you have sources
right back at you, where are the sources for that claim?
In Relooted, or at least the demo, your claim is inaccurate. A lot of people saw this as, well, them having an attitude with people questioning the plots of their game. And of course, things did not get any better. Recently, a week ago, IGN came out with a 20-minute demo with some of the voice actors kind of voicing over the initial 20 minutes of the game. And you can see, despite having 20 million subs on the IGN account, they got 14K views in 7.
This is a disaster for them. This is what you would call an unmitigated disaster. I think that a game that releases in controversy is even better than a game that releases to an unbridled meh. Like, they didn't even get... Is that a 1/1000th? 19 million, 19,000, 1, 2, 3, 1/100th. At least that's 1/100th. They couldn't even get 1/100th of the subscriber base to even watch this. That's going to tell you how well it's going to sell. That's ridiculous.
One part, like, this is from the early cinematic in the game. I just want to show you what we're dealing with here, okay? Just look.
And I bet you they spent a lot of money on this game. It doesn't look bad.
And now she has to save him. He's just sent location and was like, I
relatively
really need help. And look at him. He really does.
Oh my god.
What was that?
And was like, I really need help. Punch. And look at him. He really does.
That looks like an actor pulling their punch in like an old James Bond film.
What on earth? The quality. It's lacking just a little bit, ladies and gentlemen, but I'll just let it play in the background. I mean, this is your typical kind of parkour slop game. You know, there's yellow paint everywhere. You're told where to go, and at least on some of the difficulties, the parkour is automated, like it's done for you. So if you just
so the game plays itself.
Where you're supposed to go to, it does all the parkour for you, which is pretty odd considering the parkour aspect of this game is like all it's got. But yeah, of course, then they come out with the official trailer. Okay, the launch trailer that just came out 7 hours ago
on Xbox
to celebrate the official release. And
with
again,
4,000
Xbox,
views in 7 hours,
6 million subs, pulling off 4,700 views in 7 hours. Like, that's actually insane. You can see the like to dislike ratio still terrible. And then you go to the comment section, they're all just roasting this game. In fact, there's more comments making fun of this release trailer.
Paid in advance by BlackRock. Okay. Oh no. Oh, I can't read that last one.
There are people actually playing.
I can't read the bottom one.
This is the official mark here.
I'm gonna have to censor that for the re-upload.
In-game players on day one.
That's not charitable.
I'm a little surprised. Now, I knew this game was gonna flop. Okay, don't get it twisted. But I thought it would at least get like 100 or 200. Okay, that's what I thought. It's also like a $15 game. So like, yeah, I thought like the games journalists and the people on Twitter, I mean, we know they don't really support the stuff they claim to care about, but I thought at least some of them would.
I mean, nobody showed up to buy the game
and try this game out, but no. In fact, it looks like it peaked at 57 players.
Oh no. How much money did you spend on making this game?
And I doubt it's going to ever get past that unless they just decide to scrap this whole project and give it away for free or something. But yeah, this is an absolute.
How much does this cost?
This is really bad.
Hang on, we're gonna find out how much Reloaded costs right now. Reloaded. It costs. It's on sale right now, 10% off. It costs $15. 15 whole dollary dues. And the What a Steal edition, what a name for it, is 15% off for $16, so it looks like $20 altogether. They couldn't even get people to pay $15 to play this. Yes,
that's
it's on bad.
Game Pass too, by the way. So, you know, we're always told those are the real players, right? Like, these numbers don't matter. It's who's on Game Pass. But
I'd like to know what the numbers on Game Pass are.
One thing I saw is
I don't think they could be more than
Reloaded
50.
To Tales of Kenzera Zao. which is a game I talked about maybe a year, maybe 2 years ago.
I heard that one
and I
was
think
like
there's some
decent.
similarities here, but there's some big differences.
It was another game
So,
that kind of
just
released to
like
an unbridled
Zao here,
meh.
Relooted has become this sort of fixture for games journalists and obnoxious people on Twitter. It's become a purity test. They say if you don't like these games, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're alt-right, what have you.
Let
But
me get the
key
whiteboard
difference
out.
between Relooted and
I'll put those up
Zao
there
here
as meaningless
is that
words now.
People actually seem to enjoy this game. And from people I know who tried it out, they said it was worth the $10 or $15 it was
there you
labeled
go.
as. They actually had
There we
some
go.
positives to take away from this. And unfortunately for Relooted, it's just awful. Okay, the forums are completely ripping this game apart.
Banned. Banned. Banned.
It's a buggy mess, and the only positive ones that I can find, the only positive discussion posts, and people are swarming the discussion posts right now.
Oh no.
I can't even tell if they're positive or they're trolling.
I-
Because that's the best.
I don't
they
even
got,
want.
right?
I don't
It's
even
just
want to
like with
read
the
this.
articles.
I feel
they
like
could
this would
celebrate
probably
this
be.
game is diversity, and you can see this post. The fake white outrage is
Okay, good. He's gonna read it.
and I am enjoying so much reading those fake posts about white people or so-called crusader claiming this game is racist. So
I think this is.
rich.
I think this is bait post.
Interesting. Here's another one saying, thank you, devs, for being DEI LGBTQI++ inclusive with rainbows here. And it says, hi, devs. On behalf of all, and as a transgender, thank you for representing the LGBTQI++ in your video game.
I'm gonna bet 100% that this is a bait post.
And then this person down here says, also as a member of the LGBTQ+, we do not claim this person. Yeah, I don't know if this is real. That's the thing. Like, they're deleting all of the negative posts and banning people and all that stuff.
What a
They're not
catastrophe
getting
for
rid of
them.
these ones. So I guess they're hoping these are real posts, so they have some support. And then you see this, stop hating on this game, please. The devs clearly put their love and sweat to make this.
I could put love, sweat, blood, and tears into making a shit sandwich. Does that mean that you shouldn't hate the shit sandwich that I make?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Nobody's owed anything, okay? And you can say it's an inclusive game made by kind people. So, does that mean people have to buy it? Like, that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, they have to spend $15 on it, and they don't want to spend $15 on it.
Got made fun of, and people were making a lot of jokes about it, but the game itself
looks like
had
it
no
plays like
juice.
ass.
It had nothing.
It looks
to
like it's gonna
show,
preach to
nothing of
me.
value. And on
It looks
release,
like it's
is a
not even going to
buggy
be
mess.
worth
Like
the
I
time
said,
investment. It looks like it's going to
right
be
now,
short.
The discussion board on Steam is all just people either clowning on this or complaining.
The developers
about
probably
things
actively
being
hate me.
broken in the game. But of course, the articles haven't stopped. You can see BBC News Africa. Convenient timing coming out.
But the most important
today,
thing is
saying
it looks
the
like
new game
ass.
Relooted sees Africans fantasize about taking back treasure from Europe's museums. It's raising awareness about African culture, African history, and sort of the scale of this cultural artifacts looting that has happened. Now, ironically enough, there's people.
By the
who
way,
reply-
this is from the BBC. Don't we love state-funded media outlets? I love state-funded media outlets.
who aren't happy about this because they're saying that they're just fantasizing about taking things back, and they're like, no, they're not taking it back. It never belonged to anyone else, and all these things. Like, it's never good enough. People are still mad no matter what, and people are clowning on this. That is the largest topic of.
Hey, at least that
conversation,
graph's
is
always
people
going up,
looking at the
though.
player count, and like Paradog here saying, congratulations to the Relooted devs, banger, day one release, and the comments are roasting them, saying there sure are a lot of racists out there who don't want to play that game. Ha ha ha.
They're sure. Is that bait? I can't tell if that's bait.
Ha. You just got owned, Shud. How does it feel to be
Okay, it's bait.
losing side
It's
of
totally bait.
history?
I almost.
So is this modern audience in the room with us right now? Yeah, unfortunately, the modern audience did what it does best.
Oh, they're getting roasted.
Didn't show up.
I wish they wouldn't get roasted.
Not showing up, ladies and
it's not
gentlemen.
helpful,
That's what
but
they do best, and it happens.
I'm sure a lot of people are getting some catharsis out of it.
Has been an unmitigated disaster. I don't care how.
Honestly, probably the best way to have approached it is just let it release to nothing and just be like, whatever. Yeah, no, it's definitely sarcasm, 100%. Yeah, I definitely got I definitely got baited by the sarcasm. Sometimes I live on too many levels of sarcasm where sarcasm seems like legitimate discourse, and I have to reel myself in and be like, no, it was a joke. Don't engage. It wasn't serious.
Small of a team produced this. The amount of resources put into this.
But really, though,
to what we can tell,
honestly, the best thing that could have happened with this game is it released, it didn't sell anything, and nobody said shit about it. Because if you don't say shit about it, then nobody cares. And if nobody cares, it goes away. The only reason why this stuff continues to happen is because people keep clowning on it. They won't stop clowning on it. It's like, I get it. It's cathartic for a lot of people, sure. But really, if you want this stuff to go away, you just stop talking about it. It doesn't matter. It failed. Moving swiftly along, let's make a better game next time. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, this didn't pan out very well. But anyways, that's the update, and that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Why, thank you, Rev, for your wonderful video on it. Not to beleaguer it, but it's like, on the one hand, I understand why people want to talk about it because it just came out, it's topical, and it's funny. It's very funny that it happened. But really, I'm a big proponent of, if you want it to go away, you just put it in a box and never open it again. I don't know. I think people are going to keep talking about it, though, because it definitely is. Oh my God, it's really funny. All right. Speaking of something that's not very funny, though, let's go ahead and watch the new Nick Shirley video. We like to stay a little bit out of being super directly involved with these primary sources because they can be a bit divisive. You know what? Here, let's do this. Let's pull it up. Well, okay.
This is not a refugee.
Yes. So we have a new Nick Shirley video. All right, so we all have seen Nick Shirley's expose on Minnesota. And we all know that that's been a political flashpoint. Lots of people have been talking about it. Lots of people have been, weighing in with their opinion. And I usually tend to ignore primary sources like this because they tend to attract the most rabid of people. But for this, we're going to go in, we're trying to keep an open mind because there are a lot of problems with the homeless industry. We're going to put it the homeless industry because it is an industry. It is a charitable industry. I've witnessed this firsthand. I have. People do not care about the homeless. People do not care to help the homeless, at least as an organizational standpoint. They only care about making money off of the homeless, which they won't see a dime of. And it really breaks me up on the inside to see that. Like I said earlier, I have been on mission before. I have seen true poverty in its face. I've never been in poverty. I thank God every night of that, or every night for that. But I have seen it before with my own eyes. And it really hurts me to see people who have to live like this. And it hurts me even more to see people who take advantage of these poor individuals. They suffer from mental health problems. They suffer from drug addiction problems. And people like to make a lot of money off of them. So I'm with this, I'm going to come in with an open mind, maybe share some anecdotal experiences from my life. And, let's all keep in the forefront of our mind as we're going forward that the people who are going to be interviewed and shown here are really, truly the victims of a system that predates upon them.
This is not a refugee camp, and it is not a war zone. This is downtown Los Angeles, and you're looking at Skid Row, one of
our most venerated cities by the way.
Densely populated homeless area in all of America. Crammed into an area smaller than half a square mile are over 4,500 people living on the streets inside tents. That's more than 40 people per block, surviving and some even fiending for the next hit.
And like, we can even talk about the causes till the cows come home, but the causes don't matter right now, because right now they're on the streets and we need to find some way of getting them aid. And the form of that aid needs to be drug rehab programs, rehousing programs that are in some way meant to get them to a point where they become functional members of society again. We shouldn't just be giving them houses. We should be trying to give them the tools and ability to put their lives back together. And that's the most pressing issue.
Stay alive. To put it in perspective, Skid Row has more people per square mile than the entire city of Washington, D.C., and every single one of them are homeless. In this video, I'm walking you through the streets of Skid Row. You'll see the conditions up close and personal as I speak with the people living on these streets and giving you guys an in-depth look as to how this has happened and how it continues to happen in one of the richest cities in America. Now it's time for us to hit the streets of Skid Row, and I'm meeting up with a local by the name of Tommy Tomato to give us an inside look
You really want to know what's happening with all the homeless, you meet up with the locals. They know everything.
into Skid Row.
We're gonna hop in the car right now, and then we're gonna get out of the car.
Because they're really the only ones that care, because it's their community.
They're just waking up this morning, so I think they'll be in good spirits right now.
Awesome, let's hop in the car and we're gonna drive around and we're gonna see what it's like before we get out on the streets. So here on Skid Row, when did this all start happening? About back in the 80s, or has this been kind of recently in these past couple years?
Well, Skid Row's always been here for a long time, since about like the 70s, 80s. But now that they've actually expanded.
It's always been a problem, except the problem is it's been going up precipitously in the last couple of decades.
And have more homelessness, so they've actually gone past Skid Row, and you know, they still call it Skid Row, it's just other sections as well. Newsom, he's been governor for a while and he's been in politics for a long time. He's been trying to do this for 16 years, 17 years, fight homelessness, and he hasn't done anything with it except for spin.
Yeah, he's been fighting homelessness for like 3 decades, and it's only been getting worse. Imagine how that works.
Exuberant amount of money.
Since Gavin Newsom has been governor of California,
I wonder, where did all that money go, I wonder?
$24 has gone unaccounted for that was supposed to go to fighting the homeless crisis, and just recently, LA failed to pass another audit for $2.3 billion.
So $24 billion and $2.3 billion. It's, you know, B, billions, not M, millions. That's billions. I don't think that you, like, I think if you gave $2.3 billion to like a rural community, they probably couldn't even spend that in a decade. That's how much money we're talking about here. We're talking piles, absolute piles of money that have made a negative impact in the homeless community. If you don't think that something weird's not going on there, then I've got several bridges to sell you in several different non-existent countries.
That went missing. Some weird things are happening in California, especially when the governor, Gavin Newsom, somehow just bought a $9 million mansion in the Bay Area.
That's got nothing to do with it.
Right here, they're all doing drugs.
That's got nothing to do with it. See, the problem is he could have made that $9 million from literally anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be corruption that he's pocketing directly from the government. But I assume that that's what the implication was. The problem is it's not going to him. It's funneling to other agencies and other things around that have nothing to do with government or politics.
Drugs, you know, they're getting their
like to completely keep on task. It might be it is the state that is the issue, not an individual.
Ready, you know, buying things and selling things that, you know, they steal or.
So like, look right here, we have a whole entire setup.
Look,
and people got chairs outside, tables.
Like they're expecting company, you know, they got their own outhouse that the city comes and cleans up. So it's a dangerous job for them too, because they're cleaning up.
My God.
You know, bathrooms, the needles.
So look, they're putting out a fire here.
I don't know how a city could get away with just letting this happen.
There's a huge fire going on. And what could be inside of this fire? Do you think it's
everything?
Clothes, or do you think it could be?
There could be a body in that fire. Who knows?
It could be drugs, needles, feces. It could be so many different things that are just going in the air, getting everybody sick. That wasn't there when it'd be on fire. You know, and it's just a lot of funds for them to come and put this out and make sure You know, people are
Got
saying
helicopters coming around.
yeah, helicopters, like
You know, I think it's actually says something that the people that I've seen in Mexico that lived in impoverished communities, they didn't act like this, by the way. This is a uniquely homeless American thing where it is astounding the things that happen in the homeless communities in large cities.
Could be literally anything inside that fire. The fumes could be, we could be
A lot
breathing
of it is
very
drug
toxic-
problems.
Toxic fumes of drugs, fentanyl, anything like that.
all types of stuff is in there for sure. I mean, they should be out saving lives, not saving a fire on a street corner.
Yeah, it's a waste of
You know,
taxpayer
it's not
resources.
right.
How long have you been living here on Skid Row for?
June 28 will be 2 years.
You've been out here for 2 years now. What keeps you here on Skid Row?
Basically, primarily, I can't afford to pay rent somewhere.
We're
Yeah,
on 4th Street right now. We're about to hop over to 5th Street, over to the heart of Skid Row. Is there anything
that is a big problem too. He can't afford to pay rent somewhere. It's not that he can't afford to pay rent somewhere anywhere in the United States, because I'm sure he probably could afford it if he's got a decent job, which he seems, you know, put together enough maybe to have a job, maybe not. I don't know. But I think it's specifically to the area of LA where rent control and rent prices are bonkers.
you need to be careful about?
A lot of the rotten old food that they feed us out here, they really do that to try to kill us. They ain't really trying to help us. Anything that's 3 months out of date, you shouldn't be serving to nobody.
So they're serving you guys expired food out here?
Yep.
I swear to God, I'm Catholic. We don't believe in swearing. I swear to God. A lot of it.
And why do you think they're giving you guys expired food?
Because it's cheaper. Nobody checks it.
Part of the big plan. I really believe that's part of the big plan.
And what's the big plan?
Well, the big plan is population reduction, you know? And the homeless
Hey, he coming out here spitting
is one of the
facts.
first ones they believe that should go.
I think really the reason why that is because it is a lot cheaper to not get rid of the food. They're just like, oh well, you know what? Who cares? We're just gonna give it to them. I mean, they don't care. They really don't. They do not care what they serve these people. They're like, well, they're homeless. Who cares? It's like, oh my God. It's cheaper too. They don't have to maintain their stocks. I mean, heck, a lot of the donations of food that they get are like, you know, leftovers from grocery stores from stock that they don't sell, or some of them they get. They don't care if it goes out of date. They're definitely not eating fresh food. And I can't believe that $2.3 billion can't buy them at least food that goes bad in a week rather than out of date by 3 months.
We're like in the way.
So they're giving out this food, and right here you can see the water that's built up, and it's completely brown.
And while we were walking
How
with this
gross.
man by the name of Norman, I noticed a group of migrants that had children that were living on the streets here on Skid Row.
¿Ustedes son de Colombia? Sí, somos colombianos, nos gusta la música. ¿Y a cuánto tiempo ustedes llevan aquí en los Estados Unidos?
Llevo 2 años.
Cuando ustedes vinieron aquí a los Estados Unidos, ¿pensaban que iba a llegar aquí a este punto a vivir aquí en esta calle?
No, pensábamos que iba a ser una vida diferente.
Venimos a cambiar la vida.
Ajá.
They thought it was going to be a different life. Who would have guessed?
Aquí íbamos a cambiar nuestras vidas, no íbamos a estar así como perros, no es como estamos como perros. Porque no somos animales, somos seres humanos. Pero, coño, mira a los niños, tenemos los niños aquí, ¿ves? Una criaturita.
So here on Skid Row, we got migrants that came here from Colombia, and there's little
This is tragic. This actually makes me very upset and angry that not only did you know, obviously were allowed to immigrate here without the means to support yourself. You immigrated here with your child, putting them in danger on the street. I mean, who fucking does this? I cannot believe that California would allow this to happen. This is dystopian.
kids here and they live inside this tent. I imagine they didn't expect their life to be like this when they crossed over the border. ¿Ustedes pensaban que cuando cruzaron por la frontera eso iba a ser la vida?
No.
No. Y Dylan, ¿te gusta vivir aquí en los Estados Unidos?
No.
No.
No, of course not. You live on the fucking street.
Para llegar aquí a los Estados Unidos y ahora está viviendo en carpas aquí en uno de los más peligrosos lugares en todo el mundo.
And I'm assuming good faith. I'm assuming good faith that this guy immigrated here legally. Because legally speaking, when you immigrate here, you're supposed to be able to support yourself. The government tries to dissuade you from living off of government assistance. So in a good faith interpretation, why would the state of California have even let them in? Now, in a bad faith interpretation that this guy illegally immigrated here, this is exactly the problem that is trying to be solved.
Aquí, que fue allí en Colombia or?
En Colombia, estoy 1000 veces mejor en Colombia.
So that we don't have children living on the streets in America.
Nonprofit workers that saw me videotaping the expired food they were handing out to the homeless people came and tracked me down, and they started getting a big argument with us over me videotaping the.
Yeah, these nonprofit workers are hilarious because most nonprofit workers work for a cartel, and they viciously defend their monopoly on essentially the free money that they get from the government, because government money doesn't go directly to people. Government money gets funneled through nonprofit organizations, which then pocket about 90% of the money that they've been given. If you donate to a charity, which is super unfortunate, but any of the big name charities, you're giving 90% of whatever money that you're giving to them to the people who run the charity as a bureaucratic endeavor. Only about like 10 cents on the dollar, if that, goes to the actual cause that you're trying to donate to. And more people need to be aware of that because it's a racket. There are a lot of charities out there that are good, but you need to do your research for charities before you start donating to them. Because a lot of them just don't give the money to the cause that they want to give or that you want to give to. And this is how they make a lot of their money. And I hate it when people predate upon the goodwill of other people, because I think that good-willed people out there are special. Because I'm not a good-willed person. Like, I really am not a good-willed person at heart. And I try to live my life to force myself to be good-willed, as probably most people do. But truly good-willed people out there being taken advantage of is not right. And it should be called out every chance that we get.
Expired food and just listen to what they had to say.
Like, why am I getting in trouble for talking to these people? Why are you guys getting mad at me?
Because you guys are just like trying to find.
Because you're getting in the way of their money. Because you're getting in the way of their money.
Hey, it would be great if people.
Because you're getting in the way of their money. Shut up, you stupid fucking idiot. It's because he's getting in the way of your money. You're not trying to help.
Showing what's going on, and we're talking to people.
If you were trying to help, this wouldn't matter.
Like, go ahead.
If you were trying to help, it would be okay that he would be interviewing them.
Passed out, those 15 maybe were expired and we left them there because there's no like
15, add a couple of zeros to it, idiot.
Thomas, so we're just talking to people,
like
1,500. And then we get a group of nonprofit people. They're trying to make a difference in what they're doing, but they get mad at us for, in our way, doing what we can to help make a difference.
Exactly, and what they're doing too is they're assuming. They're like, don't put the camera in the field. No, we asked permission first.
No. They are making sure that they maintain their monopoly on the suffering of other people. If they truly cared about the suffering of these other people, they wouldn't care if you were interviewing them. They would say that it's a good thing bringing awareness to the suffering of their other human beings. They would be applauding you and inviting you back every second of the day, trying to get as much exposure out of you as they possibly can. You have millions of subscribers on YouTube and you could run millions of donation drives for these people. Your reach is beyond anything that they could have hoped or imagined to have had. They are trying to take advantage of these people and they don't want you to show it. If they truly cared, they would be begging you for the exposure.
And make sure that it's okay.
Hands and knees prostrated before you.
We actually do that. So, kid that you guys were looking at, she said those aren't even the parents. So I said, so who's the parents of the kid? They're like, well, we don't know. And I said, well, then there's a trafficking issue, you know. And then now
exactly.
When the camera came, they're like, oh no, it's not a trafficking issue. That's not what we said. 2 seconds ago, that lady just said there's a trafficking issue down here that kid is not belong to them.
Is there a lot of human trafficking, like child trafficking that goes on here?
I'm gonna bet you this guy knows every single person who's being trafficked here. He probably would never admit it, but he lives here. He probably knows everything that's happening. He's like, yep. He'd probably be like, these 3 over here, that one over there. These guys are the traffickers. They're going to be moving over there. He probably knows everything about it. And it's not hard. You send one government, I bet you if the government sent one federal agent in there with the absolute mission to get, to know everything that's happening, they'd know it within a day. Because they'd go in and ask the locals and they would all, they're open. They would be like, yep, this is what's happening. And then still nothing would happen because the government is ineffective at dishing out resources to help the community. It's such a cyclical bureaucratic problem that actually, I'm getting frustrated.
This part of the area?
Ain't no telling what the fuck is doing.
We actually did confront them about the expired food, and she said, well, there's thousands of food, and maybe 15 of those are expired. How do we know that only 15 of them are expired if there's mixed in with
Like I said, add a couple
Exactly.
of zeros.
They don't know. And primarily,
They have 1,000 expired food, or they have 1,000 food with only 15 expired. That means they have probably about 2,000 food and 1,500 of them are expired. And only 500 of them are good, even though they're still technically out of date, but they just happen to have not gone out of date. Like, they just happen to have not gone out of date at the point in time. Or they haven't, hadn't spoiled. Out of date, not spoiled. He's cooking, I know.
I'm glad she told you that. And I'm glad she refused to give me some food, but more than likely, it was expired anyway.
Oh, yeah.
That's some bullshit, man.
What are most people consuming out here on Skid Row? What
That's some bullshit. Yeah, that's... What a perfect way of putting it.
kind of drugs are they taking?
All of them. I'm so scared that I might have a friend that used that fentanyl. I'm so scared because they giving it to anybody, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think this is all planned, or how do you think they stop all this?
And like,
It's growing.
one thing that my non-American viewers don't know, and I bet you some American viewers don't know, is that California actually passed in like, I think 2008, maybe 2011, 12, somewhere around there. They passed some type of bill that basically allows people to do drugs openly on the street without punishment. In fact, they have things, I think, that they give people the means to do drugs safely. They give them sterilized and clean needles. They give them, I don't know, some type of drug related stuff that allows them to not have to rely on street drugs or street things for drugs, which that's a government funded program too. And I am in awe that their thought process to solve the drug problem in their inner cities is to make it easier to do drugs safely, because there's a safe way to do drugs. Instead of putting that, and I'm going to remind you, $2.3 billion into forced rehabilitation programs for people who are drug addicts. I'm not saying to put them in jail and get them in trouble. I'm saying that you need to take them off the streets and force them to go into rehab programs so that they can get the help that they need. I don't want them to go to jail. That sounds terrible. Punishing somebody for, having a drug problem, sure, we can argue about the ethicality about that all the time, but really at the end of the day, what we should be doing is helping these people become drug-free, because it is, as you can very plainly see, ruining their lives.
It's not stopping.
It's not stopping.
It's taking over meth.
How many of your friends have died out here? 3. Okay, we see you got some stuff in your hands. What do you have in
Damn
your
it.
hands today?
3 people have died. 3 people have died due to drug-related things that she can just be like, 3. It's like, wow.
But
what kind of drugs?
This is America, by the way.
Alcohol and crack.
And crack. Is that crack? Is that cocaine, or is it? When you say crack, are people taking a lot of fentanyl here as well?
Oh, obviously.
Very much. I've lost about 20 friends to fentanyl within the last
20 friends. Wait.
half year.
20 friends in 6 months. 20 people to fentanyl in 6 months. I'm about to say maybe Trump's not going hard enough on the fentanyl cartels that are pushing them over the border. Maybe we need to actually start being a little bit more drastic. That's insane. That is an insane amount of people who died to fentanyl, because this is not a single story. This is probably an average story.
Taking fentanyl, or was it just laced with the crack?
Oh yeah.
Yep, laced.
Did that scare you?
Oh yeah.
I actually had left for about a month. I went home to my mom for a little while because it was just too much for me.
And now, what brought you back here to Skid Row?
Drugs. Up there it is. Yeah.
How do you guys make your money out here?
That is. Oh my God. That breaks my heart. She had to go. She went back to the street, not because she was legitimately homeless, because she was, she obviously went back to her mother. She went back to the street because she just couldn't give up drugs. That's just so tragic, man. I can't believe. There needs to be some type of, I'm not usually one for government programs, but there needs to be some type of government program or some type of standardized program that you can say, this guy needs to go to this rehab, and they can come in, say you got to go to rehab. You're not in trouble, but for the next X period of your life, you're getting rehab. Doesn't need to be held against you. It doesn't need to have any legal repercussions in the sense that you're going into the program. But if you dodge the program, I think that you should have legal repercussions. There needs to be some type of fix to this problem that is non-judicial.
On the streets.
Well, me personally, I clean. You know, I clean garbage, trash, and I sell dope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
As you do.
A supplement.
And when you sell those drugs to the people, do you feel some sort of responsibility if anything wrong happens?
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty confident in the product that I do sell because the people who I get it from is very conscientious of their product because of their clientele. So yeah.
I never thought I'd be hearing that from some type of guy on the street saying that my product, that my supplier for my product is conscientious of the end user. I mean, it makes sense because you're going to need people to be, coming back for your product. So obviously you don't want it to be bad, but still, it's like, come on,
yeah,
come on, guys.
Okay, so you have a lot of confidence in what you sell. You don't...
Definitely. I stick to the same thing that been working with me for years.
Do you ever have any plans to stop selling, to stop living here on Skid Row?
As of right now, no.
Man,
no. Honestly, no. I guess I'm here until they run us out.
A lot of the people here on Skid Row think they are just taking dope or any other substance. However,
and it's got a bunch of different stuff in it. You don't know what's in there.
Into these other harmful substances, and fentanyl is so strong, just a sprinkle of it can kill you. I beg you, if you are watching this video, please stay away from fentanyl like it's the Black Plague. It is so deadly and is killing so many people. Please stay away.
This guy is clearly, he's passed out right now. How do we know that he is still alive and that he doesn't need Narcan right now?
He's breathing. You see his chest rising, and it's going up and down, and his color's good. Now, if he's blue,
man,
he's not responsive, his color's gone, he'd be like a blue, gray, purple color, then you know he's overdosing.
Okay.
So the most important thing is to hit him with Narcan. Doesn't matter how much Narcan you give him. If you got 3 in here, give him all 3 and rescue breaths.
Okay, so what's in here? What's inside this bag?
Okay, so
this Narcan, you inject into their nose and it brings them back to life.
Yes, sir, yeah.
While I was talking to the guy about Narcan,
I am just absolutely floored by this.
Tommy was also talking to another guy in the cart about some other things, and I think you guys are all going to find this very strange what he received from the people on the cart.
We were talking to the people over there in the van, and they're giving out free stuff.
Oh, is this it?
To save people, and then they're also giving it.
Is this the government-funded goodie bag that allows you to do drugs more efficiently and more effectively?
Needles.
Oh,
and what's their,
okay.
Like, what's the idea of giving out needles and the rubber bands?
This is so they could do the drugs like without worrying about disease, so everyone gets a clean needle.
That's like, how many needles inside there?
There's 27, 10 of them.
You're getting 10 needles for free, bro. Okay.
10 needles inside of this bag right here.
You get the
rubber band.
Okay, you get the rubber band.
Are those cotton swabs?
You get the cotton swabs.
Oh,
and then
wow.
This is what you actually put it in here and heat this up, and then they give you filtered water.
So they're literally.
Wait, they have a thing where you can like, they've got a spoon. They've got a clean spoon where you can heat your stuff up on. Is this real? Like, I remember seeing a joke gag about it in Robot Chicken, like people, heating shit up on spoons, right? No, I guess the government's just like, yeah, here's a spoon.
They're literally giving the people here on the street what they need to keep doing drugs.
And it's funny because if you notice, like in your hand, you have
it's funded by the government,
one,
right?
So they're giving you the stuff to do the drugs, right? This, glass pipes.
Oh my God, it is an actual fucking pipe. You can get I want my government pipe. This is what I'm so glad I don't live in California. I would be crashing the fuck out right now if I lived in California. Oh my God. I'm so glad that, I hope this isn't a federal program, but I'm so glad that my state taxes are not going to this. I would be I would be livid.
So you don't die, and then they give it to you every day. And look, I'm not even homeless. I just went up to the guy and said, hey, can I get a Narcan bag and can I get a drug bag? And the guy said, yeah. No questions asked, no, hey, don't do this, or can we get you some help? No, they're just offering you
an overdose bag
to do the drugs. They're not offering you any kind of help or assistance or any kind of detoxing.
What are you talking about? They're giving you plenty of help and assistance to do drugs.
They're just giving you the materials.
They're giving you the drugs
to do the drugs.
They're giving you the stuff you need to do the drug, and they're giving you the stuff that you need to revive your life after you do the drugs.
Think about how much money this costs for these packs to be given out daily.
Yeah, is it like $2.3 billion? Billion with a B that we could be using to help them from their, problems in life, their, whatchamacallit, their drug addiction problems. But no, we're instead giving them the ability to, enable them. I mean, like they have overdose bags to help people, but help them. I like that they have overdose bags to help people, but help them detox. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just like, I'm glad that there are overdose bags. I think that's a universal good, because people who are overdosing, if you've got one on the street and you see somebody overdosing, you can save them immediately. I think that's good. The problem comes in with the other bag. You're helping them do the drugs to overdose. And then there's no program after. Like, I think that if you have to use a detox bag and you have to refill it or get another one, there has to be some type of way for them to be like, okay, who did you use it on? That person's got to go into a program to stop detoxification or to start their detoxing, to start their journey to recovery. I mean, with, again, 2.3 billion, again, I say it with a fucking B, not an M, B, billion. You would think that we'd have this problem under control.
Daily to so many people, when that money could be going to other programs to help them. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, here, kill yourself, save yourself, kill yourself, save yourself. It's a cycle, and it's not fair to them.
And before I left Skid Row, I had to see what it looks like inside of one of these tents.
How long did it take for you to make your shelter here?
About a day, maybe. About a day. Yeah.
And can I go inside, check it out?
Yeah, go ahead, check it out. Go ahead. I mean,
Yeah, why not?
He set up a closet inside of here. His air mattress right here. It's built up on a platform, and he's got water set up. It ain't much. However,
Man, he got the luxury resort.
To set up a tent here in LA versus paying $3 to $4 grand for an apartment. It really ain't that bad inside there.
No, I mean, I try to keep it cool. Like I said, wherever you live, if you make it your home, hey, got to keep it clean,
Inside your tent right here, do you get rats that come in?
Yeah, they come in, but then they go out. Soon as I, because I put this on the floor, that's a Pine Sol and bleach.
Well, that was an abrupt end. I'm hoping that he releases more. I hope he releases more of these interviews. I'm going to be completely honest. This is a very important message that needs to be sent out to people, is like, there's a lot of problems with homelessness, and there needs to be a lot more awareness brought to it that homeless charities don't help the homeless. Imagine what that cycle does to someone's body. What body? They're not going to have a body after that. Like, most of them probably won't even live to see 40 on the rate, at the rate they're going. And again, it's just like the fact that there's detox bags, overdose bags, shows that somebody is 100% aware that there's a problem. It's just nobody's doing anything about it. They are doing actual negative trying to help this situation. Again, it really upsets me. Like, I really do get, like, I usually try to stay a little emotional about things. I try to keep things a little light, but this really does break me up inside, because it is a cycle of abuse, in the sense that there are people being taken advantage of that don't even know they're being taken advantage of. And that really sets me off. I just wish that more people, more normal people, would wake up to the ills of society and take the right steps the painful steps in order to fix the problem. But nobody wants to do that because it's, painful. Brr. Angry. Angry. All right. Let's move on to some more not so important but funny news. Let's talk about Ashes of Creation. So, I don't know all that much about Ashes of Creation. I have never really followed it. I don't really... Like, I follow some MMOs. I mean, I used to play some MMOs. I don't play a lot anymore because MMOs suck. And I know a lot of people were looking forward to Ashes of Creation. And I know they got some deep shit, some deep water not too long ago. So we're about to find out what happened, especially because there's a Legal Mindset video about it, which means that there are some legal problems. So, this is Legal Mindset. Let's see what Ashes of Creation, what shenanigans they got into.
Today we're talking about the Ashes of Creation absolute gaming scandal and the legal nightmare that's come of it, and one of the biggest disasters in gaming history. This is a Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is a Fast Facts video, the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news.
Why is this cutting out? Sorry, I want to make sure. Looks like the Legal Mindset from the actual YouTube video is cut on the side over there.
And this is something that came to my attention.
Not a recording issue.
The scope of this, the accounting nightmare and absolute insanity. And from a person who's been corporate counsel, this is a level of absolute corporate degeneracy that needed to be exposed. And also the...
You know it's bad when a lawyer, an established lawyer, is saying that corporate degeneracy is happening. I'm expecting an exciting video.
Risks for people investing in this, whether you're a large investor or whether you're just a Kickstarter backer, all of these people were harmed in this scandal. So let's get into that today on the show. First, Ashes of Creation. So this is the defendant here, just so you guys understand.
I heard that Steam stopped their payments from going through or something, or their refunds or something from processing.
RPG, in case you haven't heard of it. It had been planned for 9 years since
maybe it wasn't refunds. Maybe it was
the studio, Intrepid
I
Studios,
remember what
at
happened.
the center of this, but the real
Sorry, I don't mean to pause. I'm going to pause for a second. If I recall correctly, Ashes of Creation had their money held in Steam in an escrow account, which Steam was holding, and then they didn't pay out to them. They started processing refunds from it. Knowing what happens, it sucks. Oh, I cannot wait to see how badly this sucks. I mean, I can, because I don't want to see anything bad happening, but it seems like there's been a lot of corporate shenanigans.
And here, the one who really comes up over and over again is Mr. Steven Sharif, who is not only creative director, but really the founder, the driving force behind this.
Also, I'm kind of curious about what the lawsuit's about.
It points back to this gentleman, and there are many, many plaintiffs. When you look at the plaintiffs here, you see there are WARN Act lawsuits, which were mass layoffs.
Okay, so WARN Act, okay. TFE Game Holdings. All right, so these are independent and Yaya Legacy Trust. Okay. You've got bankers against you. That's not good. Unpaid vendors. All right. So it's not just these. There are a lot of probably subdivisions of these. Oh, and it's a class action lawsuit.
I'm going to explain to you guys, because the laws regarding that in America are actually very strict. And where they were in California, they're even more strict.
Oh, yeah.
You've got TFE Game Holdings, Robert Dawson, a massive investor. Yaya Legacy Trust with Jason Karamis. Unpaid vendors, they were not paying for stuff like Google services, etc. All that had to be paid back. And then one thing I'm really concerned about is backers and crowdfunder class actions, because in my mind, Kickstarter funding and whatnot, it may not be as big, but it shouldn't be treated as less than, or shouldn't be.
I'm really kind of curious at what legal category a backer on Kickstarter or a crowdfunder on another crowdfunding website is, because it's just like they seem like they're in a different legal class all the same, because they're not technically an aggrieved party, at least as far as I am aware, because backing and crowdfunding seems like it comes with the innate risk associated with not getting your money's worth. At least I believe that's in like the site's terms of service. They actually stiffed Alphabet of all companies. I know. Imagine stiffing Alphabet. I can't think that would go too horribly well for you. That's like betting against Lockheed Martin. Anyway, I think that, like I said, I hope he goes into whether or not crowdfunding sites can be considered an aggrieved party in a class action lawsuit, because that would probably be a very interesting legal argument. Oh, the crowdfunders were very aggrieved in this case. Right, but I'm talking about aggrieved in a legal sense, right? Because when you're aggrieved in a legal sense, that means that there's been unseen harm that's been done to you, and you are a party that can claim on class action. But the reason why I'm saying they might be in a different category is because I think part of the buy-in of a crowdfunded game, like the buy-in from the point of the person paying, is that you might not see the finished product. And because of that, it kind of takes away the aggrieved status, at least as far as I'm like, maybe logically piecing through it. That's how I would think that it would be. But I mean, again, if they're taking advantage of, and you can prove that there's been absolute fraud that's been perpetrated upon them, then yeah, there might be a different ruling. They are an aggrieved party if they didn't receive what they paid for. In fact, depending on the site, including Kickstarter's delivery of goods clause. Okay. Kickstarter requires them to deliver goods, or they have to refund them. Okay. If they have to refund them, if there's a requirement for that, then yes, they are a aggrieved party. I completely see that. You'll see why they can be aggrieved when you see the terms. Okay. Perfect. He does go into it.
Second class, and these people shouldn't be forgotten about as people that were harmed as part of this whole debacle. So let's get into it. The opening statements here. The Sandbox MMORPG was developed, announced in 2016. It grew through Kickstarter, primarily hitting 70.
Yeah, I remember hearing it grow, but I don't remember it.
So getting a lot of traction very, very quickly, and eventually ending up with over $3 million in funding. So a significant amount of Kickstarter funds in the aggregate. Although, yes, that's less than their total investment amounts. But we have to remember, as we're going to see, a lot of this was really a pyramid of loans based on projected revenue that was not reported correctly or not.
I see. Okay, so they projected something was going to happen, but really on the back end, they were just paying for credit cards with credit cards. Yikes.
Being actually donated.
That's not good.
That used to create larger loans. So there's a whole sort of pyramid that started with Kickstarter. Without that Kickstarter funding, they wouldn't have been able to secure the larger loans and get themselves in this deep. The early access was launched on December 11th.
At least that's what I'm hearing from him. I'm probably wrong.
The studio closed in January 2026, and the game was removed from Steam in February 2nd, 2026. So the real question there is, like, did the people that bought in get what they paid for? Did
Caleb
they
Hammer
expect
sweating,
the
yeah.
launch to take 9 years and then only last for a couple of months? No, that's not the typical expectation of a gamer, and that's not what you'd expect when you're going to buy a product. So the Warren Act, the mass layoffs, this is a really interesting federal law that I have a lot of.
So they did actually release a product. Okay. And it only lasted for 9 months. Interesting. Man, I could see this being a very tricky legal case. Like this might take a while, because there's so many moving parts to it. I mean, some of them are cut and dry for sure. It's just like they did this, that was illegal, boom, all right, that's cut and dry. But some of the legal argumentation, if it goes to trial and if it doesn't go out of arbitration, might be interesting, might be spicy. I'm going to take a bite of my donut, by the way. Sorry, you're going to get some diegetic, yummy donut eating sounds. It's just been sitting here staring at me for the better part of an hour. Sorry, better part 2 hours, and I'm weak. It beat me.
Experience with, and it deals with the 60-day notice for companies over 100 plus employees. Back during COVID, I was around when we had to issue these type of warnings to all sorts of companies across the United States. And particularly if you're in California, they have an extra special statute that has more requirements.
Of course
and
they
is
do.
much more strict. So they laid off 123 employees without proper legal notice. So this signals to me, as someone who has deep experience with this, very big insolvency issues. Typically,
yeah, I mean, you don't lay off employees without warning if you're not already kind of fucked on the back end. So federal law requires 60-day notice for companies with over 100 plus employees. Intrepid laid off all 123 without notice. Okay, that's not good. Signal seriousness, all the case, 60 days, back pay and benefits. I mean, that's fair. It's pretty standard. Oh, there's 2 class action. Oh, yeah, so there would be one for the backers and one for the people who needed their 60-day allotment. Oh, man. How are they going to get any of this money, I guess? Like, are they just... There's no way that they're going to get... Like, if they're insolvent, there's no money.
You're going to be able to do this. You're going to be able to get around this and deal with this if you've got the money, if you've got the ability to deal with this. Only companies that do not have money and that are truly deeply insolvent are going to run up against WARN Act mass layoff issues, right? That's typically a sign that you don't have the money and you're not doing the budgeting properly. And the cases that are looking into this and the cases that are against this are in several jurisdictions, but they're really seeking 60 days back pay and benefits. There's 2 class actions. One of them's in California. And like I mentioned, California law is not in favor here. So those people are probably going to
California law is very
in
much
California.
not in their favor.
But I want to read you the comments from, once again, Mr. Stephen Sharif, because he's a character here who, after these layoffs were happening, tried to draw out a lot of sympathy. And as we're going to see, he's
All right, show of hands who thinks that Stephen Sharif might be in a little bit of trouble. My hand's raised right now. There's 2 class actions just for the employees? Oh, no. Oh, no. That's my hand. I got 2 hands up now. Oh, Steven, you are not in a good way. Not a good plan.
One that shouldn't be speaking here, but let's read his statement to give it fair dues here.
What's he
and
saying?
Give it some,
Hang on.
some
Technically, they stated if Ashes of Creation doesn't launch, they will refund according to their Kickstarter. Now, do we consider early access as launching? The publisher said alpha is not a finished game on their Steam page. That's a good question if we can consider alpha/early access launch as a finished product. As it's playable, I could see a legal definition being made that it is in fact a launched product. But everybody knows that that's not the case. All right, Steven, what did you say?
So he said, and this is one of his statements he made on Discord, I can make a limited statement in my personal capacity and not on behalf of the company regarding the situation. Control of the company shifted away from me, and the board began directing actions that I could not ethically agree with or carry out. As a result, I chose...
If they didn't consider it finished, sorry. I would say it didn't launch. Well, doesn't matter what you say. Matters what the court says. And if the court makes a ruling based on legal argumentation that it did in fact launch, nothing you say is going to change that. And that's the backer's argument here. Yeah, I can totally understand that from a legal perspective, or rather from a backer perspective. But from a legal perspective, remember, we have to talk about legal arguments and what can be shown as precedent in court. So I'd say that there's probably a good chance that we're going to hear some good arguments from the defense defending it. Now, good as in qualitatively, not good as in substantively for the gamer. All right, I want to go back and see what this guy said.
The board began directing actions that I could not ethically agree with or carry out. As a result, I chose to resign in protest rather than lend my name and authority to decisions I could not ethically support. Following my resignation, much of the senior leadership team resigned. Following the departures, the board made the decision to issue the WARN Act notices and proceed with a mass layoff. I cannot responsibly speak to further details at this time due to ongoing legal and governance.
So did he
matters.
actually
That's
like
some real
resign
corporate lawyer
and then
speak
this
right
all
there.
like, is this real?
What I can say is that the developers and staff acted in good faith. That's a word right there. And deserve better than uncertainty they are now facing. I am incredibly dismayed by the situation.
So he's making the claim that he didn't control the executive decisions, so he resigned. And then in him resigning, other executives also started resigning. So is he the one in trouble right now? Because if he's the one who's in trouble, I think there might be a little bit more going on there than what he's telling us.
guarantee you he had a lawyer draft this up. I can tell you that right
Oh,
now.
100%. 100% had a lawyer draft this up.
Statement talking about limited statements, good faith, right? This is something that is lawyer drafted up. And we can see that when we actually get into the accounting. And credit to Nafaz HQ, who did a lot of the accounting work. And there's a lot of great accounts that have been following this and haven't gotten enough traction on this because I believe a scandal of.
Not sure. Would have to see if the employees say otherwise. Yeah. Because I mean, like, if he resigned and all this happened after he resigned, you know, obviously, I don't think he could be held liable for any of that then, because he resigned. And if it was a cascade after that, how can you hold somebody accountable after they've resigned? Because, like, it was Ashes of Creation as a product, not him as an individual. Exactly. It makes it the board's fault, which they want to do a class action against the board, whatever. I don't care. That makes sense. Boards are always terrible. But, you know, hopefully it's not pegged on him as an individual, because if it is, then he's in a lot more trouble. A lot of trouble. And honestly, if they're going to pursue something against him as an individual, I think that they probably have a good case for it. Because usually you don't pursue something like this against an individual unless you have a pretty good case. Man, these are a lot of zeros being thrown around here.
This size deserves to be exposed so that everybody knows this is what you can be getting into with these projects you're giving money to and investing in, whether you're investing on Kickstarter.
So it looks like Jason owns 0.44%, 0.044%. Numbers are hard. So there's that one aggrieved party that was named. He owns roughly about 3.5%. Yaya owns about 9%. Robert owns 66%. Atlas Business Solutions LLC, 11%. Were they named? I don't remember seeing them named as aggrieved as plaintiffs. Then some random Joes over here with actual personal names. Steven owns 4% of the company. Okay. Interesting.
Or whether you're somebody who has a significant amount of money, like in your pension or your 401k, and you're deciding to direct it towards these
$109 million.
This was a massive amount. We're talking about $99 million here, right? And you know, once again, this is absolutely an insane amount of money that was really
insane.
misused.
That is a lot of
So
money.
let's get into the investor lawsuits. So the first lawsuit with TFE lawsuit in Nevada was by Robert Dawson against Sharif and John Moore. It claims embezzlement, commingling of funds, fraud, and breach of fiduciary duties. Those are all very serious claims, and those are all related to essentially when you're having an amount of money.
But who's the lawsuit against? It seems like it'd fall on the Dawson guy with 66% of the stake, right? But he's listed as a plaintiff, not a defendant. It seems like he was just an investor, but that's what I'm saying. So I'm trying to grasp, like, who is this lawsuit actually against? Is it against Ashes of Creation as a company, or is it against Steven Sharif as an individual, or maybe some nebulous grouping thereof? Because if he owns 66%, he's... Sorry, I'm calculating. He would be the one, I would guess, that would be owning the company that would have the lawsuit against him. Also, this is in 2 different states already. This is a debacle. So Dawson is suing Sharif and Moore according to that. Okay.
That's not directed where it should go. It's being embezzled. You're commingling funds. That means personal funds and business funds, right? fraud, fraudulent misrepresentation. You say you're going to use it for one thing, you're using it for another, and breach of fiduciary duty. You're in charge of those funds and you're misusing them. You have a fiduciary duty to your company, right, and investors to use them in a proper manner. So they go out and say that Sharif withdrew $10 million that just wasn't accounted for, disappeared. He was paying his husband, Mr. Moore, right, John Moore, the former COO, a salary without work. So essentially his husband was not working. So remember back to his statement when he says, hey, yeah, the senior leadership resigned. Well, yeah, one of them was your husband who wasn't doing any work.
That's not good. That's very bad.
Work, right? Using California.
Okay, we're starting to see a picture for you. Yeah.
Mansion. Definitely not.
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh no.
Permissible. And then using loans as revenue to secure larger loans. So essentially they were taking loans.
Oh my God. They were claiming loans as revenue.
Once again,
no,
going back to Kickstarter.
Don't do that.
Taking that Kickstarter revenue, using that to secure a loan, and then counting the loan as revenue, which is not good accounting practice. I'm not an accountant, but I can tell you right now, that's not a good accounting practice, right? To use a loan.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you that that's also probably not a good legal practice either.
As revenue to secure a larger loan, right? And that's just a big pyramid of debt that ends up collapsing on you. And then sabotaging the company upon his resignation. So all of these things happened, and this lawsuit was concluded, and TFE foreclosed on Intrepid seizing all its assets and IP.
Oh, no.
So they did get the assets and IP in this case, and it does show, once again, you've got evidence out there, you've got documents.
Okay, so they have the game
to show
essentially
that these things happen. So these documents and evidence are now used by people such as on YouTube to expose them, accounting and tax emails, etc. But they can also be used in other class actions, and that's very important here. Next, there was the Yaya legacy lawsuit.
Kalo Hammer is spitting in his and frothing with that description.
And this one's got.
I bet you that you could probably generate the same power output as a nuclear power plant with how fast he's spinning in his chair.
Really the big key points here, pretty much saying that Sharif.
Okay, so Yaya against Sharif. All right.
$140 million fraud scheme by falsifying self-funding when he really gave no money himself. So he had zero personal investment, looking at the QuickBooks and using that as the evidence to say, hey, he's got nothing in here. He was failing to report monthly losses of $2.3 million every month. Think about that.
Oh my God. This much money is enough to make my head spin. This is a lot of money
on the book. That's crazy. Having no board meetings in 9 years, and this is one that how negligent do you have to be to not?
No board meetings in 9? What the fuck? That got me. What? Are you kidding me?
Not have a single board meeting in 9 years. That's really how you pull the wool over people's eyes, is you're just not talking about things, you're not having any minutes, you're not doing what
nothing's happening if no one's talking.
You'd have board meetings very regularly. If not, when you're really spinning up, you might even have monthly or bi-monthly, right? If you're really in a building
I hope
phase.
these go to trial so there's discovery. That'd be interesting.
That's not acceptable. Using Steam revenue for personal gain, bankrupting Intrepid Studios, and rejecting a restructuring.
This much money doesn't exist to simple human brains. Exactly.
Bankruptcy and restructuring,
just like how 2.3 billion doesn't either.
Personal bankruptcy. So it's always possible, even if you're in deep, even if you have a lot of problems, if along the way in this 9-year journey, if Sharif wanted to redirect the company and go elsewhere and try to restructure it or try to get things right, that could have been done. There's points at
that
which
totally
in
could
a
have been
company,
done.
You can restructure even a really bad situation, and you can try to go get alternate funding or try to argue different debt rates, etc. That's always possible, but they decided not to do any of that.
Well, because they just took the money and ran, or it looks like they're trying
to. One thing that I'm kind of passionate about, which is Kickstarter. As somebody who's invested in some Kickstarter stuff in my time, and looking at what was promised, these are tier lists from one of the Kickstarter campaigns. There were, from what I'm aware, talking to people, there were multiple.
$250 as the bottom tier. That's a lot of money. Like, sure, we're talking millions, but like to the regular average Joe gamer, $250 is a pretty big ask for a possibility on a product that you have no idea of what it's going to be. Now I can see why some people are starting to get really, and I'm positive There's probably a lot of people that were hanging out around that like $1,000 to $100 to $10,000 range too, but 250 is a pretty big ask. The Kickstart page is still up for viewing, by the way, if you wanted to peruse it. If it's going to make me depressed, it's probably going to make me depressed. You know, I will peruse it on my own time, unless somebody wants to give me, you know, put a link in Discord or something like that saying, like, check this one out or something like that.
Kickstarter campaigns,
but
from one of them you got
with $250 being listed right here. I understand. I'm understanding now.
Braver Worlds at 500, Leader of Men at 1,000, and all the way up to Avatar of the Phoenix at 10.
No, it looks like there are previous rewards at least, but like
promised here
still,
are things that you
this is a lot of money
in the game, is getting access to the game and being able to use all these things, have all these things. Look, some of them have lifetime subscriptions, etc. And the way they tried to snake out of this, the way they try to get out of being responsible for this, is saying, we launched the game. Well, was that really a launch? It was more of an early access that you had barely 2 months, under 2 months of access to. I don't really think so. So getting into the Kickstarter claims,
you know,
which have not,
was it any good in early access? I feel like I heard that it wasn't even that good. I don't really remember. I don't really remember hearing that much about it. Like I said, this news has been kind of off my radar. But I remember hearing that it wasn't even really that good.
Not been filed, but people are wanting these things to be filed. I think under California law, piercing the corporate veil against Steven Sharif is very likely to succeed. So there is a possibility for these things to kick off. There's very strong evidence for fraudulent inducement and misrepresentation, which is California Civil Code Section 1572. Breach of contract.
The limited credit I will give that minimum was 25.
So
the 250 tier had 80 backers, but mostly the higher tiers as well sold out.
This on Kickstarter. Look at the TOS. Look what you
have
to
a lot
deliver there. Plus your promises during the campaign. That's an enforceable obligation. That's something where you have
80 backers at $250 per person. That's $2,000 right there. And $50,000. So now we're at $52,000 that people have invested of their own hard-earned money into a game that might not even be good. That's a lot of money.
Obligation to launch the game truly or refund. Really, I mean, to me, that's pretty straight up. And that is one of the strongest claims.
No, sorry. 80 backers, not 8. 80 backers. That's not 2,000. That's 20,000. Right? Is my math correct there? 40,000 would be 10,000. Yeah, that's 40,000. Or yeah, 40,000. 20,000. Oh my God. I can't speak. $20,000. So we're at $70,000. That's a lot of money.
Put this together. And then you also can look at early access as not a launch per expectations, especially after a 9-year delay. And looking at the backers
9 years.
So much
oh
money,
my God.
3.27 million, which Sharif misused. He's enriched by that. So he himself personally was enriched by that, some of which he used to secure loans, which he mismanaged or misused, but it has to go back to that original 3.27 million that the game wouldn't have been started without. So backers, if
that's
they
not even accounting for all tiers and their variable price. I know. I wouldn't be surprised if they walked away from their Kickstarter with like probably about $1 million actually. Could be more. Unlikely to be more, I would think, but like 50,000 from one tier. If you're just assuming that each tier gives about 50,000, you know, per, at least the high tiers, 600,000. That'd be 600,000 for 10 tiers. Yeah, I'd probably say about $1 million.
Platforms right now, they should really document their pledges. They should save all those statements from Sharif.
Which when we're talking about $109 million loan and $91 million is a drop in the bucket, but still.
Try to find a class action in California that has very, very, very good law. So let's get to the judgment. There's a very high likelihood of piercing the corporate veil against Steven Sharif and possibly others, such as his husband, right? You've got possible claims for fraudulent inducement, breach of implied
Well,
contract.
they're
and
probably
unjust
staring down the
enrichment
barrel
for
of a
those
couple
Kickstarter
indictments.
backers. So I really think they should seriously consider this as a way to fight back.
Put 'em on
Courts
Flight
need
Watch.
to offer a remedy for backers and crowdfunders to prevent them from being scammed in the future. Backers, I know what they're giving is small compared to a 401k or a pension fund or a large investor, but they shouldn't be treated as expendable and they shouldn't be treated as second-class citizens in the law and under the law. They shouldn't have to look and say, okay, well, I've given up this money now. This money is gone. I'm not going to get anything from it. That can be a lot of money to a person. If they
could
gave
be, yeah.
250 or 1,000, maybe to them that was a lot of money. And yes, it's not $99 million, right? But
Correct.
it's something and should be given back to them. And so I do think they should come together and form a lawsuit and look at a remedy here, because this is an unjust thing that happened. And Ashes of Creation is absolutely one of the biggest scams that I've seen in really recent history regarding games.
I wonder how much money that they could actually get back from that foreseeably, right? Because like I said, it seems like this guy is insolvent. I don't know if they're going to get any money back, unfortunately. Although, making sure that there is some type of protection in the future, making a legal precedent for that, could be in its own self, its own reward. But yeah, you're probably not getting a lot
But I want
back.
to know what you guys think in the comments below. Have you heard of this? Did you know about it? What do you think about it now? Let me talk to you later. Peace.
What do I think about it now? I cannot believe. I can believe it. I can believe that somebody basically rug pulled Ashes of Creation. $91 million. Paying for credit cards on credit cards. Oh my god, dude, no. I hope they have some restorative justice, but I wouldn't hold my breath. I feel sorry for everybody who paid into that, though. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. All right. So, let's get to this last Legendary Drops video. This came out not too long ago. I don't really want to put it on YouTube as fast. I want to wait for a while, so this might not appear on YouTube for a while because it just came out. But it seems like it's going to be relatively important, at least with talking about
HighGuard developer.
Hang on. Talking about how it seems to be a prevalent issue in the games industry that when a game does fail, it's the player's fault for it. Which it's never the player's fault for not wanting to buy a product that doesn't seem like it's going to be entertaining. It's always the developer's fault for making a non-entertaining product. And I think that it's probably going to be important to listen to, so let's hope that it is, and let's hope that we enjoy it.
HighGuard developers, as well as some in games media, have taken to crashing out, blaming the players for
As
the
you
game's
do.
failure instead of just confronting reality. I am
As
so
you do.
sick and tired of players being blamed for failed games. This weird expectation that the customer needs to be there to catch these developers when they fall, that they need to donate their
Well,
empathy to.
Is it a players being blamed for the game, or is it, a protracted way to blame some abstract ideology?
Those who do not understand the customer's needs, do not seem to care, and then want to stand around and act surprised when everybody's upset. This is not a charity. You are asking
True.
for people's time, for their money, and for their patience. If you guys just wanted their well wishes, you wouldn't be putting a price tag on it. This is something that the industry at large just doesn't seem to understand. They don't get why players are so upset, why they're so loud, why they won't trust anyone. Instead, what they want to do is they want.
It's so simple. Make a good game that I can play and that I enjoy. I did the math. It was just shy of 2.2 million from Kickstarters alone. That's pretty good.
to call you entitled.
It's still
Say that you're algorithm
drop in the bucket,
poisoned,
but
that you're addicted to outrage, without taking the time to realize they are the ones that created this monster. They did get one thing right. Players do want to see games fail, but that's not because they're evil or entitled. It's because they're sick of not being listened to. So when words fail.
So it is that they're sick of not being listened to, but I believe there is a bit of a cathartic element that goes into seeing something that you want to fail because you dislike it and then expressing that you're happy that it did fail because it did in fact fail and you dislike it. So there is a bit of catharsis there as well. It's not all 100% altruistic, I would think. But there is a proponent of what he's saying, that they're happy that it failed because of these reasons.
Tell them, they realized the only language left was consequences.
Yep.
The video game industry suffers from a severe lack of accountability and self-awareness to the
Like,
point
I don't
that
think
now it's honestly
I don't think anybody would have cared about Highguard, except for it's just like every other bit of slop that's being pushed by the AAA industry.
just getting hard to comprehend. The same lessons get taught over and over, and nothing ever gets learned because the people that are making those mistakes refuse to believe that it is them. And we see this every single
they
time
can't
a
be
game
wrong.
fails.
It
There's
must be the
always an
players that are
excuse that's
wrong.
deflecting around the obvious. The market's tough. We didn't time our release right. The genre's oversaturated. And
Yeah,
now
right.
their new favorite, it's the players, it's content creators, it's the culture. Apparently, we manifested
Hang on,
their
I wanted to
failure
pause that, but it didn't work. A former Highguard dev blames gamer culture for hastening the game's failure. Oh boy. It's most certainly gamers. It's their fault. Not that you didn't make a good game. It's not that you made a mid game. It's not that it was underbaked or in a saturated market. No factors besides the fact that gamers wanted it to fail, so it did. I wish I had half the power that these people think that I had.
It's the players, it's content creators, it's the culture. Apparently, we manifested their failure into existence and unfairly got what we asked for. We've watched this same cycle for the past few years. A game gets announced and it genuinely breaks your brain trying to figure out how that game even got greenlit. Developers in conditions so sheltered that the second that game touches sunlight, it just evaporates. The character designs, the themes, the gameplay, the genre. Players look at it and they feel two things at the same time. Offended that the industry thinks this is worth their money, and frustrated that this industry refuses to save itself. So then what happens? Well, the trailer gets downvoted into oblivion. Social media lights up. People say very clearly and directly, this is not what we want. The industry ignores it, calls it noise.
Not only that, not only do they ignore it and call it noise, they also viciously mock and attack everybody who is trying to, just for the sake of maybe wanting a better game, warn everybody that it doesn't look that good. And then it becomes their fault afterwards. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that they attempt to fulfill.
Pretends that it's the fringe,
Crazy.
and then, well, the game launches, nobody shows up, and somehow, yet again, well, it can't possibly be them. No, it has to be the players. In 2026, that game was Highguard. Everybody knew it was going to fail. Everybody said that it would. Hell, I made a video the day after its announcement saying exactly that. It looked half-baked. It looked like it needed more time. It needed to go into beta. That feedback was everywhere. The entire internet was
Everybody
criticizing
knew it was going to
Then
fail.
the game released, and it failed.
Everybody knew it was going to fail except for the people who didn't want it to fail.
Oh my gosh, what a surprise. Now
Oh
we
yeah.
have...
Let's look at this graph.
Then the game
Currently, their 24-hour peak has been just shy of 2,000 players. For a free-to-play, live service, whatever shooter. That means that if every lobby is filled at the same time, for 5-player lobbies now, so we'll just say every lobby is a 5-player lobby, that means that they're having 400 matches. No, 200 matches, because it'd be 5v5s. Let me make sure my math is correct on this one. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm not that bad at math, but I am pretty bad at math. Yes, that means that they have 200 matches going approximately at their peak time. Just 200. And we all know how server issues plague everything, how connection isn't always the greatest. So there's probably about 100 matches happening, and about half of their audience who can't find a match for any reason or another. I don't think that they're doing too well, guys.
released and it failed. Oh my gosh, what a surprise. Now we have the developers placing the blame at the feet of the players and content creators while assuming none of it
And that's
themselves.
not counting people who just
Josh
left the game
Sobel,
on.
one of the technical artists on Highguard, took to Twitter to write a lengthy reflection about how gaming culture destroyed the game. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but you do need to see just how out of touch this mindset is, because every time they say this stuff, it just proves the players right. Josh opens with, the day leading up to the Game Awards 2025 was amongst the most exciting of my life. After 2.5 years of passionately working on Highguard, we were ready to reveal it to the world. The future seemed bright. Everyone I knew who had a
Should have
connection
kept it
to
to
the
yourself.
team or the project had shared the same sentiments. It's lightning in a bottle. I trust this team wholeheartedly.
I still cannot believe that Jeff Keighley, the man himself, the man of the hour, the man of many hours, but this hour in particular, decided to give the last segment to this game. Hundreds of better indie games that have been there that were half the price, maybe like half the quality, but 100% times the substance of this game.
There's one project nobody in the industry is worried will fail. It's yours. This has mainstream hit written all over it. There's no way this will flop. I could play this all day.
Are these quotes moments before disaster?
Now, either you are surrounded by professionally trained bioengineered gaslighters or you made this the hell up. There is no way. This is way too on the nose. It's almost stereotypical. Who would actually go out and say there is no way this game will flop?
Yeah, honestly, it sounds like Mean Girls. Like, you look so good.
If there's one project nobody in the industry is worried will fail, it's yours. Jeff, you did this, didn't you? You said this to them. Your game was sheltered. I assumed as much, and I said as much in my review after the game had launched. Hell, I even think I said it in my intro. The more that I played it, the more I watched on as people with zero stake in the outcome cheered it on that probably weren't even playing it themselves. The more obvious it became.
Well, obviously
to me,
they're not playing it themselves because there's only 2,000 players.
Toxic positivity, no different than Concord, because otherwise it would have never made it to market. Mining rocks in a first-person shooter.
We're going to do a live lookup. How many people are currently in Highguard? Highguard Steam DB. Here's the moment of truth. Charts. Would you look at that? Their 24-hour peak is lower. They have 1,000 players in game right now, which means that there are only... There's no way, wait. 5 into 10, 2. That means there's only 100 matches. So really there's probably only like 30 matches, active matches happening right now. Man. That is abysmal.
Massive maps with 3v3 and 5v5, even when you bumped it up later.
Granted, it's a Tuesday night at 7:55 on the East Coast, but
a game that makes you feel like you're only fighting other players. What, maybe 25% of the time? No progression, no leaderboards, no scoreboard. A hero shooter.
Oh yeah, no leaderboards was a wild choice too.
Look original, and nobody noticed that. You're trying to tell me nobody said anything? Nobody at a single point said, "Hey, you know what? Something."
Nope. I'm gonna bet you that somebody did, and then they got fired. Or they got reprimanded and moved to a different department.
Might be wrong here. This is the stuff that drives players up the wall because it is so self-inflicted. These are not subtle problems. A Candy Crush gamer can call this stuff out. So either you didn't listen, didn't want to hear it, or no one around you was willing to say it. You were surrounded by people that were being supportive for the sake of being supportive, people that cared more about your feelings than they did about your results. And at the end of the day, the product that you made is what happens when you get a shooter that is built inside of a padded room, insular, coddled, and completely disconnected from what players have been asking for and what they have made blatantly obvious over years of public failures. And it's no wonder that you were surprised when your game finally touched reality. Josh continues with his experience saying, but then the trailer came out and it was all downhill from there. Content creators love to point out the bias in folks who give positive previews after being flown out for an event, but ignore.
Why does it sound like Overwatch, but they left Overwatch at home? I mean, because it is. Overwatch has done what I would think pretty significant damage to the overall gaming landscape, at least in the terms of arena shooters. I've never liked Overwatch. I played it when it came out. I didn't like it. A lot of people do. And if it's your thing, it's your thing. But I think that some of the negative design practices and negative aspects of the game, or even more of the prevalent aspects of the game, have pervaded through shooter culture, causing a negative decrease in quality, or a decrease in quality that is negative, rather. And, you know, there's no way for them to have been able to predict that it was going to happen, but I think it is a fact that it did happen. And it's unfortunate because nobody seems to be able to break away from that.
Or the fact that when their negative-leaning content gets 10 times the engagement of the positive, they've got just as much incentive to lean into a disingenuous direction, whether consciously or not. Now, to save for time, I'm going to summarize a bit. He goes on to say that he got personally targeted too. He went private on Twitter to protect his sanity, and
you sure did.
Content creators saw that and turned it into a storyline, calling him a coward and sending angry
Don't blame me if I don't believe a single word that he says, by the way.
Of people into his replies. He said people laughed at him for being proud of the game, told him to go.
And also, they laughed at me for being proud of the game. Yeah, because the game's shit. They told me to get out the McDonald's application. Yeah, if you can't stand being insulted like that on the like a playground insult like that, get off the internet. And mocked me for listing having autism in my bio. Okay, well, they probably shouldn't do that because that's not cool. But still, people are assholes on the internet, you know. And to be on the internet, you kind of got to have a spine. People don't care, which they seem to think is evidence the game would be woke trash. Well, again, they shouldn't be assuming that, and the people who are saying that, you should be able to have enough of a spine to ignore them, because their opinion most likely doesn't matter.
People into his replies. He said people laughed at him for being proud of the game, told him to go fill out a McDonald's application, and even mocked him for listing autism in his bio. I still don't understand why people do that. And I'm just going to stop it right there. Now, this guy is referencing me directly, so I have to respond to this. I am the one.
Oh, you're getting called out?
Preview events are terrible for feedback. They almost lead to nothing but glowing coverage. I've been to plenty of them. I know how it works. It's not even the point of it being a paid trip part. I think that's the laziest part of this conversation. I'm talking about the event itself. The drinks, the food, the social energy, seeing people that you know, seeing people that you don't. You're not locked into judging these games like a customer would. You're basically at a party and the game is just background music. And even if you do have criticism, there is real social pressure there. You are now face-to-face with these developers. You are surrounded. You are not trying to be the guy who is
hugely
killing the
skipped
vibe.
there.
That is poison to honesty. That's not bribery. It's just human behavior. But you want to go and flip this into content creators did this to us, that me and others disingenuously attacked your game because negativity gives us 10 times the engagement.
Yep.
You have no idea what you are talking about.
It was
and
all
honestly,
100% disingenuous. All 100% disingenuous, by the way. You know, I won't pull up the graph again, but their criticisms were disingenuous.
Why your game failed, why so many other games are failing, why games media is struggling, because you people do not understand other people. You do not understand basic social behavior. And also, for the record, 6 out of the top 12 videos on this channel are positive. I am not some rage merchant that can only function off of hate. Yes, I do critical content. That is the theme of the channel. I compare, contrast, and I react to what's being said around a lot of these games, but my opinions do not create public opinion. They are a lightning rod, a loudspeaker for people who already feel something. Content creators.
I don't even think that's the case. I think it's probably more accurate to say that your opinion and your platform allows people to amplify their voices. I mean, I guess maybe that would be probably the same thing as a lightning rod, but it's not the fact that you're attracting them because of their opinion. They already share the opinion. You're just articulating it in a way that they agree with.
Cannot make people love a bad game. We can't make people,
or at least agree with it enough.
The people who grow in this space are the ones who naturally resonate with others, not the ones that are trying to force a narrative. Being a contrarian does not work for you. People just want a fresh perspective, true, but at the same time, they are trying to seek out what they are already interested in. Go type in, I hate Dark Souls into YouTube, and you're going to find a bunch of videos that are just not dominating the conversation. The algorithm is still going to try to shove you into positive Dark Souls videos because that's what people actually want, except for
I wonder
Dark Souls
why.
2, but that was actually a bad game, and that totally deserves
doesn't
to
exist.
Dogged on. But that's
Dark
how
Souls
the
2 doesn't
internet works.
exist.
That's how people work.
Oh, what the heck was this?
If you genuinely believe
Dark Souls 2 doesn't exist, by the way.
that content creators can just decide
Never
to
mind.
tank
Never
your
mind.
game
I was
for
gonna say something, but
engagement, then you fundamentally misunderstand how attention works. And if you don't understand how attention works, well, then you probably don't understand how interest works. And if you don't understand how interest works, well, you're going to have a really hard time making something that people are actually interested in. The algorithm does not manufacture desire. All it does is amplify it. If negative videos about your game were getting 10 times the engagement, that's not because us creators flipped the switch. It's because
no, it must be because there's something there.
Skepticism was already there. People already had something that they didn't like about it, and the algorithm just poured gasoline on it. I really hope game developers are watching this. This is probably the most important and the most valuable bit.
Indie game developers certainly are watching this. AAA developers certainly are not watching this, and they do not care. They do not like you.
Of insight that I could give you. If you think that content creators cause the reaction, you are missing the most important step. You should be asking, why did the reaction resonate? You should be asking, why aren't people excited?
Or how do I
Why are
change the
comments
reaction?
negative? If your first instinct is to blame the amplification instead of the signal, well, all you're doing is just
Yeah, you're treating
blaming
the
a
symptom, not
thermometer
the
for a
problem.
fever. You are so sheltered that you are instinctively deflecting any type of accountability before it even shows up at your door.
How could I make
Content
something
creation
bad? I
success
don't make
is
bad
about
things.
resonance. Video game success is about resonance. You cannot strong arm people into liking something. You cannot strong arm people into hating something.
No, but they sure as
You
hell
cannot
are going to
guilt
try.
people into anything. You cannot shame people into
Oh,
showing up.
Jesus.
That doesn't work in any industry. So when I see a game developer that comes out that says that they believe that content creators are the ones that drove failure because negativity performs better, what that tells me is somebody believes that attention is something that you can control.
Or
And if
purchase.
that's the case, it makes a lot of sense why you made a game that you thought people should like rather than a game that they actually did.
Yep.
This industry needs to start
I can
asking
100%
why
agree
are
with that. It's phenomenal to me that some people have grown up and currently work in a current adult environment without having learned the lesson that criticism isn't coming from a place that wants to see you put down. Criticism is coming from a place that wants to see things lifted up. And when you frame it that way, it changes the conversation, or it changes the orientation of the thought to be like, oh, the reason why they're angry is because they want it to be good. It's not because they want it just to be bad. And then you can start building from there the framework to realize, oh, they're telling me that they don't want this and nobody wants this, and they're angry because they want it to be something that would actually be good, or they're telling me what they want it to be. And these people have no internalization of that lesson because they've been told every second of the day, they're perfect, they're special, you got this, positive affirmations, ignore the haters. Sometimes you don't ignore the haters. Sometimes you got to actually engage with the critical thought that the haters are trying to bring.
Players so upset. Where are these reactions coming from?
Although I will say most of the time haters do in fact have nothing to say that's good, like if they're just hating on you because they hate you. But if they're giving you a legitimate criticism, that's different than just pure hating.
Are they resonating so hard? Why don't they trust us? Why does it seem like they hate us? What do they actually get from our failure? And if they ask those questions, all they would have to do is look in the
valid criticism and spiteful criticism are usually fairly easy to identify when you're being thoughtful about your product. Yes, exactly.
Mirror. Now, I originally wasn't going to comment on any of this developer's posts outside of my live stream because
but these people don't know how to discern the
to
difference
in my review. But this last point in his response made me realize just how big this problem actually is and how the industry
I've never
needs
played a Neo
very
game, but they
clear
do look
answer.
fun.
Josh went on to place the blame at the feet of players, pointing out meme phrases like Concord 2 and Titanfall 3 died for this. He also claimed that the game got hammered at launch with 14K review bombs from users with less than an hour of playtime, saying that most of them didn't even finish the tutorial. And then
okay, let's look at this from a different direction. You shouldn't be asking, did you finish the tutorial? Why do you have an opinion? You should be asking, why didn't you finish the tutorial? In a critical way. Maybe it was too long. Maybe it was too boring. Maybe your core mechanics just plain flat out suck. Man, when you look at it like that, maybe you can start fixing some of the problems.
He says this. In the discussions about HighGuard, Concord, 2XKO, and such, it is often pointed out by gamers that developers like to blame gamers for their failures. And that's silly, as if gamers have no power, but they do, a lot of it. I'm not saying our failure is purely the fault of gamer culture and that the game would have thrived without negative discourse, but it absolutely played a role. All products are at the whim of
I'm going to take an adversarial opinion here in a way that I think a lot of people aren't going to like until I explicate it. I think gamers have all of the power. And the reason why I think gamers have all of the power is because we are the ones being asked to purchase and participate in these things. And when we're being told to do it, we're not going to do it. And when we're being asked to do it, I mean, time is a resource and we're going to be discerning about our resources. We do have all of the power if you sit down and think about it in terms of that. However, we don't have the power to make you change your games. You have the power to change your games. You have the power to discern what the gamers are saying about your games. And you obviously lack the responsibility and obviously lack the insight to act upon that. So good luck to you in the future. I hope your next game doesn't suck, but the way that you're talking right now is kind of pointing in a certain direction.
Consumers, and the consumers put an absurd amount of effort into slandering HighGuard, and it worked. Look, man, I don't want to repeat myself, but this game was not review bombed, and I am so sick of seeing developers try to hide behind.
And it wasn't
excuse.
slandered;
yes,
it was
there were
bad.
troll reviews, like there always are, but a ton of the sub 1 hour reviews were mostly people that were talking about crashing, performance issues, and actual gameplay problems. A HighGuard match is 8 to 30 minutes. That is plenty of time for you to know if you are having fun. People didn't like the game; they stopped playing it. End of story. You do not get to under 2,000 concurrent.
Was it? There was a
layoffs
video. I think it was Shroud playing it or something like that. I don't really watch first person shooter streamers, but they had a guy who literally just mid match say like, "Bruh, this is boring. I'm out," and then just fucking drop the match.
Review bombing. You get there because you have a poorly managed
like, how
studio
bad do you have to have a game where it's just
feedback.
like they don't
You made
even
a game
finish
that
the
people
match?
Did not want to play. And for all the comments on the players, this industry needs to stop blaming the culture that they created. I'm going to say that again as clearly as possible because for whatever reason, people in this industry still want to act confused as to why players are so savage. You created.
Oh, I've got a great idea. Why don't we go ahead and blame
mistakes,
the consumer
start making
for the
better
failure
games,
of the
or find
product?
another
That's a
fucking
genius
job.
idea.
It is not gaming culture's fault that you go on social media looking for affirmation and praise for your video game. That is on you. You are the one that put your balls in a bear trap. There's part of me, and I will say this, when I hear these discussions and I hear these devs talking about all the hate that they receive, how there has to be a better way to communicate, I think to myself, you know what? Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe I'm taking...
There has to be a better way to communicate, they say. Well, when we try to come at you in good faith and communicate with you in a better way, we're called every ist, phobe, and chud, and anything in between. When we come at you at a better way, we are dismissed, our opinions are rejected, and we're told to sit down and shut up and just consume product. So, you can't have it both ways. Either we're going to be given the space in order to come to the table and voice our concerns in such a way that is amenable to your delicate sensibilities, which I'm sure people are willing to do, until the point at which they're being shouted down in the streets for literally daring to have an oppositional opinion. And that's where we're at. That's why we're here. I know you don't want to hear this. It is your fault that we got here. And you can change that by simply holding this L. Just say, you know what? Valid. We have the L. Moving on. We're going to make a new game. And this would go away overnight. Overnight. However, you just can't do it. Your foolish pride is stopping you.
Taking this a little bit too personally. And then I snap out of it because I don't support these guys getting attacked. I don't attack them. I don't send people their way. This is all tone policing coming from people that are asking for my money. It is a way to strawman this entire conversation by pointing out freaks online who send threats so that you don't have to deal with normal customers saying this sucks. And if you ignore normal feedback long enough, you teach people the only language that you respond to is consequences. You want to know why players are so mad? You want to know why they don't trust you? You want to know where this culture is coming from? We went from
It's public trading culture. They can blame the consumer. It's plausible deniability to their stakeholders. You know, that's a good point that you're bringing it up, that this might not be from a point that they are from a social point, so to speak. It's that they have to tell their stakeholders why they failed. I think that's a good way of thinking about it, because this kind of does take the blame off of them. Although I think they do deserve a portion of the blame, it does alleviate the fact that they're acting in selfish interests, which is easier to understand than just bad faith interests. However, I think that it's probably about 70-30, 30% being public trading culture, but that's my opinion. And my opinion is if they just held the L and, you know, obviously said, you know what, and been contrite about it. Yes, this is a big L. We're going to hold this L. I think it would get a lot better for them.
Buying and owning our own games to an industry that is actively litigating and lobbying against our right to ownership, pressuring us into subscription services so they can drip feed us access and
there you
eventually
go.
feed us.
This is the quote that I was talking about a while ago. I don't remember it, but Ubisoft exec says gamers need to get comfortable not owning their games for subscriptions to take off. Wow. That's dystopian. Honestly, whoever said this, I'm not a big fan of being super hyperbolic, being super angry, whatever it is. I am actually very hyperbolic, but let's not go there. Whoever said this needs to be ostracized from the gaming community. Because if you allow this idea and allow people like this to creep in with these ideas into the game space, you will never have a good game again. It's over. You mean the No Man's Sky approach instead of this? Yeah, wow, imagine. And I haven't played No Man's Sky. I probably will never play No Man's Sky because I do not agree with the way that it released. But I also live with the cognitive dissonance and in a world in which No Man's Sky has gotten 50,000 billion% better ever since its launch because they sat down, shut up, and actually made a game. And I am happy for all the No Man's Sky enjoyers out there. All my No Man's Sky enjoyers out there, however many of them that there are watching, I am happy that you got the game that you want, and I'm happy that you have the game that you want. It's not for me. I don't agree with a lot of things that happened at the beginning, but they sat down, they held the L, and then they made a good game. They turned that L into a W. If only they could learn, if only there was something that was a chronology of events that had happened in a time period temporally behind us, that happened in sequence that will never change, that we can look back to try to learn lessons from this hypothetical temporal disturbance from where we're standing. Which is a fancy way of saying, man, I wish we could look back and learn from the past.
Ads inside of games that we already paid for. We watched an industry with no microtransactions turn into an industry that begs for more money at every opportunity. Microtransactions.
Nova, we're going to bring it up. We're going to bring up your favorite thing. We're talking about microtransactions. You know what I'm talking about. We're going to bring up the armor. We're going to bring up the $3 horse armor from the Xbox 360 era.
Turning into macro transactions, bundles that cost more than full games, skins that are pushing $500, hidden stores for whales who have already spent $10,000 so that people can drop almost $50,000 on a spaceship. And even when we do try to support indies or Kickstarters, well, they still get bait and switched and left with nothing. We stand by and suffer while the industry parades around purposefully misinterpreted data claiming that women make up.
Well, the good news is indie games exist. And as I'm hoping to prove here on this channel, that there are some legitimately good indie games out there. Ah, yes, Nova is finally able to catch up to the response time. I'm sorry, Nova, I had to at you with that.
50% of gamers and then use that as a cover to drain personality, flavor, and challenge out of our games that we've supported for years, studios that we have supported for years, all in the name of wider appeal, to the point that you now have the producer of World of Warcraft saying that, well, they wish they hadn't called it Warcraft because it sounds
I have to read this. The World of Warcraft producer says Chris Metzen sometimes wishes Blizzard hadn't called it Warcraft because it sounds intimidating. And some fans are not taking it well. I wonder the fuck why. I wonder why people are not happy to hear that. It's a mystery to me. Maybe we shouldn't call it Warhammer, we should call it Fight Hammer. No, that's also we should just call it Hammer. Well, no, see, that's a weapon. We should just call it 40K. Let's just call it 40K. Fantasy, we'll just call it Fantasy Warhammer, we'll just call that fantasy. Just like every other fantasy out there. Final Fantasy? Well, that seems pretty that seems pretty definitive. Maybe we should just call it Penultimate Fantasy. I hate the softening of language. Oh my god, I hate the softening of language.
It's too intimidating. That's where we're at right now. The end result of this has been an
George
industry that is
Carlin
so
was
greedy
right.
and so blind and so tone deaf to their audience that they can't even see the cliff that they are driving off of, even with every single sign screaming at them to turn around. Everything is TAM, total addressable market. This fantasy that there are millions upon millions of gamers that are out there that they just haven't
Maybe I should play
captured yet.
Neo.
We just gotta find them. Meanwhile, the people that are actually keeping these guys in business are getting treated like obstacles. So they keep slopping out remasters and remakes to farm our nostalgia. They poison our experiences with more monetization to satisfy
I am
their
so
investors.
tired of
And
remakes.
even
Brother, I am so tired of remakes of older games. It's only going to prove that games were better back like a decade or two ago. Like, how many top hits recently have just been remakes of older games? And the worst part is they censor parts of the games. I hate it. It's so dumb.
while they're making more money than they ever have, they still have the gall to tell us that we need to pay even more.
I'm
And it
not
hasn't
paying
stopped.
$100
The industry
for
is fully
GTA
committed
6.
To this idea of trying to take as much as it possibly can.
I
from
wouldn't
its
even pay
audience, squeezing,
$30 for
extracting,
GTA 6.
pushing,
I have
to
never
the
played
point that it's now
GTA, but
costing
I won't
them
pay.
their
I won't
quality,
play
and it's
it.
costing us our enjoyment. Ask the developers of Highguard, who were apparently only given a couple of weeks to design their characters because apparently they had concept artists moonlighting as people that were managing their microtransactions. We see you.
Oh,
we know what
Jesus.
you are. You're not fooling anybody. Don't try to give us any of this. We tried
Hey,
to
what's
do it
truly
the indie way
important?
shit.
Character designs
I
are
remember not all that long
microtransactions.
ago,
Who
Mark
would have
Dara,
thought?
formerly of BioWare, went onto YouTube after the backlash of Dragon Age: The Veilguard with a video that was titled $70 Doesn't Buy You Cruelty. Same playbook, same tone policing that we're seeing right now, dragging out the most extreme examples so that normal criticism gets framed as evil. Another game that was supposed to be live service.
I remember that video, and I remember the $70 doesn't buy you cruelty. I'm like, no, but $70 buys you a terrible experience, and people are telling you that it's bad. Sure, there are going to be absolutely cruel people on the internet, but you are a gray-haired, bushy-beard, probably like 55-plus-year-old man on the internet. There are going to be cruel people out there. Just ignore them, first of all. Second of all, make a better game. Because most of the people that I'm going to bet you're saying are cruel are actually just telling you that the game sucks and you should make a better game. Because they've grown up with BioWare, who has, I will remind you, made all of the previous Dragon Age games, made the Mass Effect games, made a bunch of other strong RPGs, such as like The Force Awakens. I believe they made The Force Awakens. Or maybe I'm thinking about The Old Republic. And you just can't, you don't got the sauce anymore. All right, I'm head to bed, almost made it all the way to the end. Not to convince you, but we've got four more minutes, which means we've got about an hour here. I'm just joking. Have a nice night. Have a good rest. And I'll, honestly, since I'm streaming on Wednesday, I guess I'll see you every night this week. Have a good one.
That pivoted last minute, stuff with messaging for an audience that was outside of its own, unrecognizable from what came before. And then right after that, we had an executive from EA saying out loud that they thought that fans would
we
eat
love
up
them.
whatever they put out because the nerds in the cave always show up for an RPG. Because
I found this to be incredibly offensive. The nerds in the cave are going to be showing up. And excuse the fuck out of you? Like, I'm just a product to EA right now? Okay. Well, you've ensured that I'm going to think at least 5 times before I purchase an EA game, and I most certainly am not getting your launcher. If I have to play a game through your launcher, immediate refund. If I have a game that I'm going to get for free from you, I'm going to refund that for free. I don't want your games anymore. Sorry. That is offensive to me, and it's wrong, and I can see where you're coming from with your game direction. You don't care. Fuck off.
Because it's an RPG. Yeah. But then those players didn't show up. What these guys haven't realized yet is that the players have shifted right alongside the industry, an industry that has been in contempt of its own audience, serving up slop and trying to extract as much revenue as possible until people finally internalize the truth that this Highguard developer just stumbled upon. Players do have the power. We use it, and we use it with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
This industry has taught their audience that the only language that they understand, the only language that matters is money. Not essays, not forums, not surveys, money. So they go out and they downvote these trailers into oblivion. They roast these games on social media. They watch videos and support creators that are already talking about what they're thinking. And they then go and do the one thing that they know that always lands. They don't buy it. They don't play it. And I hope you know that
and you
when
can't
these
blame
players
them.
start rooting for
But
failures,
they try
it's
to.
not because they hate games. It's because they see where this industry is going. And they would rather watch this entire thing collapse and burn and rebuild it all over again.
I'm sorry. I just got flashbanged by that snake. That snake had a...
Because they hate games.
That's an anime snake right there. That is...
See where this industry is going, and they would rather
maybe I
watch
should
this
play
entire
Neo.
thing collapse and burn and rebuild
I don't know
it
what
all
am I
over
missing
again than being dragged down this same road even further. How can anybody be surprised with how players act today? Yeah, they're more hostile than ever, but the industry itself is more hostile than ever. We have more gambling psychology pumped into these games to the point that even Vegas would start
don't even
blushing.
get me started on the
Ownership is
gambling
starting to
psychology.
vanish. We have microtransactions that have infested nearly every single experience. Slop just keeps getting served to the players, and we're expected to.
I'm going to say it. I blame Fortnite. I blame Fortnite. If I had ultimate authority, I would boycott that game.
Pay for it. Prices keep going up. We're done with it. They're not going to eat the slop anymore. They're going to make you eat the slop.
Yep.
Like you deserve. I think what a lot of people fail to realize is they really love their video games. They are very passionate about this hobby. This is the way that they escape. This is the way that they get away from a lot of the problems that plague them in life that now are starting to plague them in games, and that's just not going to work. This is how people make a lot of friends, meet up and hang out with a lot of the friends. I mean, a couple of guys that I know still to this day are people that I played Modern Warfare 1 with way back in the day.
I was ready with the A's if you brought up the armor again. I wasn't gonna bring up the armor again. I've reached my quota of blaming Bethesda for things. This time I get to blame Fortnite because I think Fortnite was the progenitor of a lot of malpractice in the gaming space. And I am very outspoken with my disdain for that game. I won't get into it. I won't show my power level on how much I dislike Fortnite. But there are a lot of particularly powerful English words that I would use to express myself when it comes to that game.
Now, that are just not happy with the direction that the games industry is going in, and they're showing how unhappy they are right now. Now, I'm going to say,
I don't hate the game because it's a bad game. I hate the game because of what it did to my hobby and what it did to the industry that I loved.
These videos purely
not solely its fault,
because I want games,
but it
to
has
get
a lot
better
of
for
fault.
me, because I want to play better games. I want more games that are made for me, and I am so lucky, insanely lucky, that I get the amount of support that I get from my audience and from a bunch of other people on YouTube. That, you know, there's a lot of people that resonate with the messages that I have, with the discussions that I have, with the opinions that I have, which goes to show that there's a lot of people that are out there that feel the exact same way that I do. And that does not mean anything good for the games industry. I'm going to tell you that right now.
No, the games industry is not
I
in
am
a good
not a
spot.
very happy customer.
Yeah, like
to
you said,
confront
you're
that.
not the only
You have
one.
to figure out a way to be able to harness that. I know that that's possible. You can use that to make better games. Tools have never been more available. Information has never been... Knowledge has never been more available. And
It is a paradox of knowledge being available that people will get inextricably dumber. The more available you make something to be, utilized on a intellectual level, the less people will use it. It is an inexorable fact of being human, and it is an inescapable reality that the phrase, the idiom, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, becomes truer and truer every day. These people will not learn. They have not been taught to learn. And we are going to be living with the consequences of that for the next precious few generations. Hopefully it gets better. I fear it will not. These people, again, I am not a big fan of being harsh on people. But I think for the betterment of the industry, as a pure fact of the matter, they must be excised and barred from the industry. They cannot touch another game ever. Because if they touch another game, the probability of it being infected by people who don't want to hear criticism, who want to hate you, who want to continue this cycle of predatory games marketing, of just making games bad in general, will go up. And you want to minimize that possibility at all costs. But nobody on the business side wants to do that, which is unfortunate.
Ability to get feedback and connect with customers and get a pulse on culture has never been easier to do. It is just a click away. All you have to do is just listen and make better games. All you have to do is just put in the effort to understand and make
They will not
better
do that.
games. If we can get away
They
from
cannot
this
do that.
self-absorbed games if we can get away from this self-absorbed games industry that we have been infested by for so long, where people want to have their cake and eat it too, where they think that they can just do whatever they want and that players are going to show up and pay for it. I'm sorry.
Well, the problem is
not
they're
how
right.
This works. I mean, look at
the problem is they're right for the most part. Like, if it's a mid game, there will be people who show up and there will be people who buy the skins for it. Like, honestly, it makes me disappointed that more people aren't discerning about what they buy in games. And that might be a personal failing of, other people that I just can't control for. And maybe that's me being too narrow-minded. But we can unanimously say that the games industry has been pumping out garbage after garbage ever since these predatory or even semi-predatory practices has seeped their way through into the games industry. Because people show up to pay for it. They do. And it's more people than you would think. And it's more money than you would think. So they have a negative incentive to improve their product.
Tens of thousands of indie games that don't get purchased every single year. Most of these guys don't even make the $100 licensing fee to get put onto Steam. You have to understand that people are not going to show up for everything. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully people understand why people hate video games or why people are so mad at the games industry right now. I really do hope this.
Yeah, I understand it. I live it.
If you guys enjoyed this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, share it on social media. Definitely
Hell
share it
yeah.
on social media. Share it on all the medias. Make them know. Let them know. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below.
Hell yeah,
And I will
brother.
catch you guys in the next one. Follow
I
me on
forgot to
Twitch,
like
follow
all
me
the
on Twitter.
other
Stay
videos.
cool, stay righteous, stay safe.
Family. All right. I got to go back and like all the other videos, which I intend to do. But here we are. Like I said, people are not discerning much anymore in a way. It is, I hate to see my hobby go in the direction that it's going. But it's important to be able to at least call this out and realize it. That you are the one, you are the consumer, you are the one with at least a modicum of power to somewhat exhibit outcomes. You don't have to be outspoken. You don't have to yell. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is just don't buy the product. If it's predatory to you, don't buy the product. If you don't like the game, don't buy the product. Don't feel like you have to do it. If you think that X, Y, and Z 1, 2, 3 is doing something, just don't do it. Simple. Anyway, I hope that everybody's, feeling okay. I hope everybody had fun. But yeah, hope we all learned something. But it is now time that I must start thinking about going to sleep because I am tired. I hope everybody had a great time. I hope everybody has a great night. And thank you all for coming out. It really means the world to me that everybody who's been showing up has been showing up. I am, like I said, very happy to have you. And even if you're just a lurker and you're not a chatter, I'm happy that you're here too. Join the Discord if you want. I post my schedule there. And I also do votes for what indie games that I'll be playing next. Next indie game will be on actually Wednesday. We're going to be playing Demon Bluff, which is a spur of the moment type of stream because, I kind of wanted to do Demon Bluff and I realized that the playtest was available. So I'm going to try the playtest. And then on Thursday, we are going to be playing either the poll just closed, Morta or Lunacid. We're going to eventually be playing all of the games that were in the poll, but right now it's a toss up between those two, and those will probably be the first two that we play. I'll be putting up poll next week probably on what the next one will be, and I hope you show up and we'll be around. I'd love to have you. All right, everybody. Have a great night.